audio,
Yep.
and then I'm going to go to the mic, and I'm going to hit this one here. Check 1 2.
Yes.
There it
There you
is.
go. Much better.
Okay.
Yeah, you figured it out.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
What do you have to tell everybody?
I don't have to tell anybody anything.
Okay.
Are we
Now I can't
interrupting your
hear
nap? It looks like you're sleeping.
You ready?
No, but go for it. Doesn't have to be- Check. Check. Which one's better? That?
That
Or
sounds
that?
awesome. They're
That?
both the same.
That.
The same. Are you doing the air?
Am I doing my hair? Yeah, I'm gonna do my hair.
Wow.
All right. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, hello. Man, that's quiet. Welcome, everybody. This is Johnny Beane, Neanderthal, Zims. Welcome.
I
This
feel
is
weird being in the Mancuda spot.
Oh,
I feel
You
like I
wanna
have
be-
to be. I feel like I should be gay.
you want to be center square?
I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. I'm just joking.
There
Yeah,
we
you
go.
know, if I stand way over like this, or set rather, if I set way over here, when the all the comments will cover me up completely. I'll have
What?
to stay way over like
Because
this.
he has a small computer monitor, so he has his comments
There.
scrolling, so he can't
So
see
now when
himself.
people are watching at homes, they can't even see me in here because all the comments will be in the way.
Dane doesn't know how this works.
I don't know what that means.
Nope.
But either way, it's December 21st of 2021, 8:14 p.m. Eastern, 5:14 Pacific, 6:14 where they are. I think
Yes.
probably.
No, when I watch this show at my house on Friday nights and Saturday nights, and I'm on my
This show
big screen,
is only on Tuesdays.
okay, all the comments scroll over on the right side of my television. They all scroll up and down the right side. So who's ever sitting way over on stage right, all the comments are covering them up.
Oh, I see. So you're
He
talking
watches
about
on a smart TV.
what it looks like on the television.
Yeah, on
okay.
the big TV, not on your phone. Nobody watches this on their phone.
Everybody watches this on their phone.
Everybody.
Everybody watches everything on their phone now. The television, the radio, they're almost extinct now. Everything is it's on the phone. We've sacrificed fidelity for portability. We've sacrificed visual detail for portability. We watch stuff now. We're watching stuff on watches. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, people are starting to do that. So
Yep.
but I think
Yep.
it's cool that you put it on the television. I will stream. I stream YouTube on my television occasionally. I usually stream RedTube on my television.
Hey now.
I was waiting to see who would respond to that first. Johnny knows exactly what that was.
I don't even know what that is, but
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Red,
Ask
stream,
me for a
red
friend.
stream.
Man, but yeah, I do the YouTube on the TV as well. Not just that. What do you call it? For the time being, Disney Plus, so I can get through the rest of the Get Back.
Yes.
You still haven't finished the Beatles documentary?
I finished first and second.
Yeah,
No.
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the second 3-hour slot is when the keyboard player guy shows up.
Yeah, his
Billy
name is Billy
Preston.
Preston. He's sort of a
Yeah, Billy Preston.
famous guy. He saved the sessions.
And
Billy
because the
if Billy
Beatles
Preston
wanted
had
to do that whole thing live, they didn't want to overdub all their parts. They wanted to do it live. When Billy came in and started playing keys, they're like, okay, awesome. Now we can pull this off
Mm-hmm.
and sound great because we have that keyboard player.
that's the problem with being a musician now without being in a band, and Johnny can identify with this as well. When you make music, you have to make it piecemeal in your house. You break out the drum machine, you layer down the vocals or the bass or the guitars or whatever it is have to do. Yeah, and you have to do it piecemeal, so it's not quite it doesn't have the same vibe. You know what I mean? It's very difficult to. I understand why the Beatles did it. I understand why Foo Fighters just recently did it as well. Um, there's a difference no matter how many ways you do it in the studio. You will never do it the way you will sitting in a room with your band playing at the same energy with live mics going into tape. It just doesn't come out the same. No matter how many times you try to do it, you can't replicate that vibe. And that's why bands like the Beatles and Zeppelin and the Stones were so much better than everybody else because they just sat in a room and played, and the Who and that energy came out in it. And that's why a lot of bands today who do this stuff like piecemeal and do their tracks, one guy does their tracks in LA, the other guy does their tracks in Miami, the other one in Nashville, and they all sort of assemble a piecemeal. It's nowhere near the same vibe. You can approximate it, but you'll never nail it the same way.
Right. Yeah. Although, it sounds the quality is can be better than anything from back in the day.
Can be
instantly. It can be.
Yeah.
It can
Not
be.
always though. Not always. Like as I was saying, I was listening to Casey and the Sunshine Band this week. And because I like funk, and those were that stuff was done on like 16 track, half-inch analog tape. And the separation of the instruments and layering and all that stuff is simple, very simple, nowhere near the effects or the kind of processing that we have capable. I mean, Jesus, man, you can make a better record on your iPad than the Beatles did or Casey and the Sunshine Band or Zeppelin did technology-wise. But if the song isn't there and if the performance isn't there, no amount of technology is going to make it sound better.
Right.
It's got to be good going in. Shit in, shit out.
That's what she said.
Giggity.
Speaking of going in for John Mancuda tonight.
Oh yeah. Everybody, Zims.
So you're gonna have to tell stories about your mother, your failed acting career. You're gonna have to show a guitar that nobody has ever seen before, and hopefully it'll have a connection to a star. And you're gonna have to say something inappropriate that makes me have to go, "Hi, Ellie."
Yeah.
And Gretch Zeppelin is right.
Do that. You know what? There's this site called Social Blade, and sometimes you got to worry about your actual little. They give you like an A+, a B+, a C+. You got to worry about your score. And I think if you cuss too much, you might end up with a C-.
Oh no.
Yes.
C's for degrees.
Have you been on that site, Johnny? Social Blade.
I've seen it. Yes.
Yeah. It's a cool site. You can look up anybody's YouTube channel, kind of see how they're doing, how many subscribers they get every day.
It's very exciting.
How many views they get every day on average, stuff like that.
Yeah, we were having a great conversation about music there, Dane.
Hey, there's big Kiss news. What's the big Kiss news today? Big Kiss news.
This is a random, just a random collection of thoughts that Dane is stringing together.
Yeah.
You and Laz should do a show.
Everybody's talking about Kiss in the chat.
Okay.
Wow. But hey, first of all, let's say hello to the executive producers here on Johnny Beane TV. They are the top tier of channel memberships, and they are Dave Ennis, Vinyl Freak 5150, Mike Neese, Music Therapy Laz, Majestic PB and J Cat, Wayno, False Flag, Sherman Callahan, Andy Carson, Michael B, R. Habs, The Chad, Lenny Lou, and Mary, James Gum, John Moronic, Stephen Franklin, Michael Smith, the Captain, Thomas Santiago, Joe Christian, Jim Ray Hawkins, and Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael.
Steve Carmichael.
Somebody had to do it.
That's the top tier of channel membership here on Johnny Beane TV, here on YouTube. If you'd like to become a channel member, click that join button right below the 19 thumbs ups. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you, thank you. And as always, if you'd like to help support the channel, support these shows, any super chats will change the color of my lights. Right now, it's kind of like a purplish, bluish type of thing, depending on where you're watching this. If you're watching this on your iPhone, on your smart TV, the color might slightly vary depending on the definition of your device.
And your whole background's not blurred out tonight.
No,
you went
it's
back.
Not.
You went back to how it used to be.
Yeah, I could. There we go. I could do that.
Or you could even do a little survey. What do you guys prefer? Johnny Beane in 3D?
Whoa.
I don't have that. I don't have that feature.
It's StreamYard. It's called the virtual background. If you go to if you were to use like a green screen, it's the very first one. By the way, Laz, are you in here, man? I see you, man. I see you. Laz, well, maybe I won't say this. Okay.
Boy, Johnny, that was the epitome of a dry hump. Is what that was.
No, the big thing is Laz
started to get all excited for a second, and then all of a
beef.
sudden it was no.
Yeah, Neanderthal have
maybe I won't mention that. I'm waiting to hear back from somebody on this issue. It's
Jesus Christ
complaint.
Johnny, don't bring it up.
So,
if you're not gonna tell the story, just
yeah,
you're just faking at this point.
No, I'm not.
It's
I'm
so
not
vague.
Even,
it's like
I'm not even gonna say it.
So
Laz knows
vague.
what I'm talking about, but
good for Laz.
Anyway, yeah, it's kind of.
You guys could have this conversation. Actually, you can have this conversation now because it'll be more interesting than anything else that's going to happen on this show.
We could, but let's see what else. We're live on Johnny Beane TV Facebook page where we have Facebook stars, which is kind of like a super chat for Facebook. Basically live all over Facebook. Van Halen 1974 to Forever, which actually I'm looking to possibly change the name of that group. So any suggestions, drop them in the comments, drop them down below on playback. Let me know what any ideas you guys have. We're live in the EVH Gear Live Facebook group and Facebook page, and basically my personal profile and Twitter. So make sure to, if you're watching this on Facebook, smash a thumbs up and say hi in the chat. And really quickly, make sure if you want to connect with the Johnny Beane TV, please use WhatsApp. Because before, if you text that phone number, if you call me on that number, just regular, I have no idea who you are. It's kind of scary. But if we add each other as contacts on WhatsApp, I can save you as a contact, and it's so much better. Right, Dan?
Yeah, and so that way, if like Keith Campbell calls you, you'll be able to say, "Oh, it's Keith calling. I won't answer this one," and you just hit the little delete button real quick. You swipe left.
Because I have Keith Campbell actually as a contact in there, so if he did happen to call,
yeah,
I would know. Yeah, there he is. I see him. It's just there's less screening time involved. Or screaming time. I guess.
Fun.
Whatever that is. So what? There's big Kiss news?
I don't think.
Oh, well, there is a birthday today. One of the four members. How many members of Kiss have there been? One of the guys is having a birthday today. Did I just go ahead and say Peter Criss is having a birthday today?
Sure.
Peter Criss is having a birthday today.
Man. In the chat, how old is Peter Criss?
The best singer Kiss ever had.
What?
Peter Criss. The best vocalist in the band.
You're high.
I'm going to say he's probably 72.
70. How old? 76 is your guess?
Mm-hmm.
He's the oldest member
400?
of Kiss, wasn't he?
Yes.
He's 80. I'm going to say he's 80 years old today.
Really?
He's
Well,
73 years old.
I wouldn't be surprised, but
75, 66.
Let's see.
Calling Dr. Love.
Peter Criss. So he's obviously not a current member of the Kiss band. But how do you spell his name? ISS. Happy birthday, December.
Yeah, Neanderthal looks bored. Anybody have a pick?
Wait, I think his birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, it was a couple days ago.
I'm just reading along in the comments.
Yeah. Well, that's that, you know.
This is the best lead drummer in Kiss.
That's not true either.
They're not my words. I'm just reading the chat.
Hey, Zach.
So, Paul, your vacation started today, didn't it?
Certainly did.
Nice.
I'm doing nothing until January 4th. I was just saying to actually Renus Pinkle, funny you should ask. Renus Pinkle is asking if I dug into the head rush yet. I've had the head rush for almost a month now, and it has yet to be opened.
On the desk?
Yeah, it's just sitting on the desk.
We could do an unboxing, plug it in episode.
Yeah, no, I don't want to do that because
Sure we could.
because finding the settings and setting it all up would be annoying to people who don't care.
I'm pretty sure everybody that is here wants to experiment with the brand new gear that you've purchased over a month ago.
By everybody's account, this is the deal, man. This is the coolest little effects processor on the market right now. Everybody wants it. It's the big Christmas gift, and I bought one about a month ago, and it's been sitting on my desk ever since because I haven't plugged in. I've been just sitting here playing acoustically or just going direct into the amp. But now that I'm on vacation and doing nothing for 2 weeks, I have time to dig into it, and that's really what I wanted to do. I didn't want to just sit down for an hour and like just play around with it and then have to take the dogs out or do other stuff. I wanted to be able to sit down and really dig into it and figure out how it works. So it's been sitting on my desk for weeks. And everybody says they're great. Stephen Franklin. Yes, they're great. That's what I hear.
It looks cool.
That's what you're going to hear.
Yeah, everybody says they're cool. Everybody says it's the greatest little thing.
Let's see. Let's do a poll here.
So he's going to open up the head rush in the next week or two. And so I predict in the next month or two, he'll bring it into the shop and say, you know what?
Nope.
This thing isn't as great as everybody's making it out to be.
If I didn't want it
for a couple of MXR pedals.
Nope, I've got enough. I've got all the MXR pedals I need. I take that back. I need one. I probably need an MXR delay. But other than that. Oh, Gretsch Zeppelin. These headphones here. I only use these headphones during this show. These are not great headphones for recording or audio because they're open. They have an open ear. They're AKG monitors, and at one point people liked them, but I like to listen to my audio very loud in my headphones, and so these have a tendency to feed back. They're not with this microphone, but these are not the greatest headphones in the world. They're good backup studio headphones. They're good for monitoring music and stuff, but they're not the greatest headphones. If you're looking for a great set of headphones for decent money, Sony's MDR V6 is what you want. They're about $100 at wherever your local audio store is. And those are sort of the industry standard for good around the ear headphones.
Yeah,
But
I used to
those-
use those. I used
Yeah.
those for years.
Yeah,
and
they're
years
great
and years.
headphones.
And
and
I
they've
still
got a
use them.
little, they got air circulation, right? So your ears don't come out all sweaty.
Not the Sonys, no. But
No.
these things here, they're all right. I mean, they're people like them, 30 years ago. But they're just okay. I just use them for this show. That's the only reason why I have them, is because I have no other use for them. So I just plug them into my computer and use them to monitor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
They're not great.
Yeah. Those Sonys though, man. Yeah, I used those for years. And
Yeah, MDR. They used to be MDR 7506. Now they're MDR V6, I think. Or the other way around.
I miss those headphones, whatever they're called.
Yeah, they're 7506s now.
If you go back and watch like early episodes of these types of shows on my channel, you'll see me wearing them, and you'll see how they would break, and I would roll duct tape on them, and I had it was like the worst looking setup, but I had to have them, and I used them for as long as I could.
Yeah, my first set of them lasted probably 12 years before they died. And I still have them. They got to the point where the leather, around the ears got worn out so much that when I turned my head, they would feed back. And again, I listen to my monitors pretty loud when I'm in the studio. So I can't have that. I can't turn my head and have feedback.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was nothing else like them as far as sound quality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have the best sound
for recording and mixing. Nothing else I've used since has even come close to those. Yeah.
So that answers your question about headphones.
Yes. Yeah, but you got to be careful. You have to take a break from blasting your ears with those things.
Yeah, your ears will come out all red, and it's like you've been out in a blizzard. They'll be burning. Your ears will be burning.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah. I mean, sound-wise, your hearing is very
Stephen
important.
Franklin now asking about the microphone. This is an Electro Voice RE20. Electro Voice RE20 standard broadcast mic that you would see in most radio studios.
Nice. And is that mic stand? Is that on the floor, or is that on your desk?
Yeah, it's a pod mic stand up with an no, I don't use it's a mic stand with the old steel iron base on it that I just put a gooseneck on or an angle on. But it's the old mic stand I used to use live.
Mm-hmm. Same here. Same exact thing I have here.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. It's because you can barely knock them over. That's the base is so heavy. It's made out of cast iron.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's it.
Fun.
Well, so who's in here tonight? Who do we have? Zims, can you see the text scrolling over you?
Harvey 84, 64. I can't see that stuff. I see Canton 55. James Stewart. Dan of New Jersey.
Dan of New Jersey.
Renus.
Sharon Wildaller. R2R3 Locking Nut.
Yep.
Coffee
Keith Campbell,
or cappuccino.
mentioned him.
Keith Campbell, who I have as a contact on WhatsApp. Please add me to it. Please.
Leo.
Huh? Leo?
Yeah.
Leo Safko. We got Ice in here. Joe Hervey 84, Black Salami. Janice Lala.
Janice Lala.
A lot of people watching. 89, 92 just jumped.
Thrash
92.
metal and fun riffs.
Make sure to smash that thumbs up and subscribe if you are brand new to this. If you have no idea what this is. And maybe, just maybe, we'll get a raid later.
That'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
About an hour ago, I'm sitting here at my shop and I hear kaboom, like a giant car crash.
Oh
I
my
run
gosh.
out and I have these big pillars in front of the building, right? And down here at the animal hospital at the end, an old man in a truck smashed right into one of those giant pillars that hold our canopy up out here. And
Oh
I'm
my gosh.
myself, there's that certain age that unfortunately we get to where we shouldn't be allowed to drive anymore. And I think that's exactly what happened out in front of the animal hospital here about an hour ago. So that added a little excitement into the store today. It was one of those days
have you been busy during the holidays?
it's been good starting about last Friday. It sort of picked up. And today was kind of crazy. And I had like 6 kids in here, and I call kids like, dudes in their 20s. And they do stuff like, hey man, can we test out pedals? So I'm like, yeah. But luckily Neil was hanging out with me today. And so
Which
Neil
is a phrase that's never been said before.
Neil can handle dealing with the youngsters like that. I have no patience for it. And I see a guy picked up a Kramer that's got the locking nut and the Floyd, right? And he's up there trying to drop tune it. And I'm like, bro, those are locked, man. What are you thinking? Oh, sorry, dude, my bad. Yeah. So shit like that annoys me.
Yeah,
you're
like this.
But it's been cool. Yeah. I got a really cool guitar to just do a restring and a setup on, but I got a Peavey Wolfgang to do a setup on. So that'll be fun. I love working on guitars and doing restrings.
Oh man.
Especially if somebody brings something cool in. Let me show you guys this guitar.
We love those guitars. Yes. Yes. And hey, speaking of WhatsApp. Speaking of WhatsApp. And speaking of Keith Campbell, see, I know exactly.
It's Keith.
I know it's you because I have you on WhatsApp. I see exactly who's calling me. It's
Okay.
It's the greatest invention ever.
So how's this going to work with Dane? Is Dane going to do the guitar preview?
I'm guessing, sure.
Yeah, I guess he's doing it right now.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. Oh man. Which one
so
is
this
that?
thing walked in today, and I saw the guy get
uh,
out of his car and walk in here, and I'm like,
It's a
oh,
special.
please let it be some dude that just wants to sell it, and he needs some, he needs some Christmas money, a couple $100 or something. Come on, man.
Yeah,
And
looks
then
like
he
an
goes, hey, I need a
EXP
restring
special.
on this. And I'm like, dang.
It's a Korean EXP special, Johnny.
Okay. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, that's a Korean EXP special. It appears to be. The one knob, it's a flat top, right? Dane?
Mhm.
Yep.
Flat top, one knob, photo flame, finish, Korean Floyd, Peavey. That's your your later years budget model that Eddie asked Peavey to make them more affordable for people. You can tell it's the EXP more often than not, A, because it's a flat top, and B, because it has the one volume knob, which, the Peaveys had 2 volume knobs, most of them.
Yeah. The one that I had did.
Yeah, that's very similar to mine.
volume
I have an American Peavey that has a very similar. I can show you the difference between the two. They are significantly different guitars, but all of that said, those Peaveys, for what they were very good guitars. You can't compare them to the American ones; they're just not the same. But for an import budget line guitar, the quality control on them was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yes, Renus Pinkle, you're right. The EXP, I think, is coming in the amber. And blue, I think. I think the EXPs, there were a lot of blue ones too.
Right. Yeah.
But they're good. They're good guitars for what they are.
Yeah.
It's just not. I mean, I'll go get the American one if you want to A/B
Sure.
them next to each other. Yeah. Hang on a second.
Smash that thumbs up if you like Wolfgang guitars. We love them around here. Love them. That's right, James Stewart. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, he knows his guitars. He has a lot of them. So wait, did someone trade that one in?
No, they just brought it in for me to restring it for them.
Okay.
Yeah, so a couple times a week I'll get if somebody wants to set up on something.
Uh-huh. And
So
so,
that's really cool. When it's something fun to work on like this, I'm excited about it.
do you have an in-house tech, or is that
No,
you?
I do everything.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, I do it all.
And you have somebody else to deal with the customers.
My son works here, and he does all my editing. You guys know Zim's Guitars on YouTube. Subscribe for me.
Uh-huh.
And my son does all my editing. I try to do a couple of videos every week.
If you had WhatsApp, you would know who that was instantly.
Okay.
Okay. I dig that Wolfgang you're showing right now, the flat tops. I much prefer the flat tops over the arch tops. What about you guys? Just
Why?
curious.
Well, why would you say that?
It just
Who's
feels
that?
Oh,
it's like playing a Strat versus a Les Paul that the strings aren't all away from you. It just feels better. What about you guys?
who's
Just
calling? We want to know who we're talking with.
My name's Kurt.
Kurt.
Yep. I've called you a few times. I'm just curious.
Kurt 5150.
Yes.
Wow.
No, it's not. No, just Kurt.
That's Kurt
Okay,
0812.
So I'm just curious. I ask the other guys. I'm just curious
I
because
will.
no one ever talks about that.
We're going to have a little conversation about him right now.
We've talked about it for years.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Kurt.
That's all we talk about.
Yeah. All
So-
right. So again, this is a Korean-made Peavey. And what were the years that these Wolfgangs were made out of the Peavey factories?
Well, you go
Late
96.
90s.
Yeah, 96 through 04.
This one, the serial number starts with an 03. So
Yeah, that's because it's a Korean.
it's in 2003.
No, just the Korean ones. There's really no rhyme or reason to the serial numbers with regard to the year. They started making the EXPs a little bit later on because, for all intents and purposes, as we all know, Eddie Van Halen signature guitars are pricey. And one of Ed's issues with Ernie Ball, and correct me if I get anything wrong here, Johnny, because I know you know this as well. One of the problems with Ernie Ball is that they couldn't make them in enough numbers for a price point that Eddie could cash in on. Essentially, he wanted to make, because he got X amount of dollars per unit sold, and he wanted to make sure that there were enough of them being made to meet customer demand. And so Peavey, who had a mass production facility down in Mississippi, in Meridian, Mississippi, could pump those things out, but then they couldn't pump them out made in America at a price point that Eddie wanted to get them out to the people for. So he outsourced them, and they cut some corners and made them in Korea. Correct me if I got any of that wrong, Johnny.
That's probably true.
So as far as cutting corners, what did they do to this guitar that would cut?
They took the
corners?
tone knob out.
Well, they took the tone knob out.
Okay.
They took the tone knob out. The finish is a laminate on the top. It's a flat top. So if you notice, if you see the carve, see the way that the light is shining off this, it is an arch top. But unlike your guy that just called in, he was like, well, the arch top puts the strings way away from the body. The arch on these is not actually that pronounced. It's not pronounced like it is on the new ones, or like it is on a Les Paul or any other single cut. The arch is fairly benign. I mean, you can see it. You can see the way the shadow, the way the light's hitting this thing up by the top bout.
Mm-hmm.
But the arch is not that pronounced. That said, it still costs more money to mill it that way. So they did that. They took the tone knob out of it. The tremolo system is not American made by Peavey. And just the manufacturing is a little bit different. I mean, obviously when you mill things off of a mass production line versus, hand tooling American craftsmanship, there's going to be a little bit of drop off usually. Now, again, the ROI, this is like a, was at the time, $2,600. Is that right, Johnny? Right around that area?
Probably.
This was $2,600 to $2,800 for one of these, and that guitar was $799.
He told me he paid $800 for this when he got it.
Yeah, $799.
Yeah, under $1,000.
And yeah, the heel is different. The cutaway to the heel. Flip that guitar around.
Oh yeah, that's a lot different.
Yeah, they milled the back differently.
Mm-hmm.
And the neck is not bird's eye. Like, I mean, you look at that neck; it's just your typical one-piece maple neck.
Yep.
Versus the bird's eye on this. I mean, it's just the quality of the wood cut, the milling of the top. Other than that, though, I think the pickups are the same. I think the pickups are exactly the same. That's the best part of that guitar, is the fact that the pickups in that guitar and the pickups in this guitar are exactly the same.
Yeah, I think they are.
What's the?
I believe they are too.
You have.
You what?
What's the bridge in the one that you have?
This is an American Peavey Floyd, licensed knockoff. If you look at the difference, I mean, look at the way that is set in the guitar versus, see how that is milled. I mean, the guitar itself is recessed and milled so that this thing is decked into the guitar.
This one's on top. This is laying up on top.
Yeah, this is decked into the guitar.
Yeah.
These were milled so that it is literally, you can't. It's flat into the guitar.
It's super thick on that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is again, is it a $2,000 or $2,500 difference? I don't know if it is or if it isn't.
Well, these days, the one Zims is holding, they're going for way more than they were.
The profit margin. The profit margin on selling one of those versus the profit margin on selling one of these. Again, these went for $2,600 to $2,800 new. All right. And you can probably get $28 to $35 for them now. That went for $799 new, and they're going from anywhere from $1,500 to $2,200 now, depending on who you want to get to buy them. So certainly the resale profit margin on that guitar is significantly higher than this one.
Yeah.
Cool. Learn something new every day.
But they're very similar. They're not that different. I mean, obviously, I don't know that it's an $1,900 difference between this guitar and that guitar, and that only you can tell the difference. I can tell you, I've owned 4 of these, and this is the nicest one I've ever held. And like every guitar, you can pick up a dozen of them and you'll get 12 different feels. This feels the best. This is the best Peavey I've ever felt.
I'll tell you the very worst thing about this guitar. There's no strings on it.
Well, yeah. There's that. And you're holding it.
It makes no noise. You can't get any noise out of this thing at all.
Say what you will. This guitar has been in its case for well over a year. I really haven't touched it or played it. Ready? Not bad.
Hold it closer to the mic. Hold it up by your mic.
That's not bad.
Sounds good.
A little bit flat. But I mean, that's pretty good for being in a case in Arizona for the better part of a year. It's still fairly in tune. So say what you will about Peavey. Now, that said, it's still not as good as the Ernie Ball. The Ernie Balls are the nicest ones that they made.
Gonna go put it back.
Renus Pinkel asks, Ernie Ball Axis versus Peavey Wolfgang. The old Axes, I would take the old Axis and the old Eddie Van Halen over the Wolfgang. That said, again, this Wolfgang, I would take over my Axis. This one feels better than the Axis.
I agree. And hello, you're on the air.
Hey, Johnny, how are you?
Good. Who's this?
It's Charlie S. How are you, man?
Charlie S. Great to hear from you, man.
Good. Hey, listen, I hate to change the subject, but I just want to know if you saw David Lee Roth's plastic chair video and what you guys think about it.
When was that? Was that today?
No, a couple days ago.
A couple days ago? I did not see that. Did you? Any of you guys see
Oh,
that?
you got it. You got to check it out.
Plastic chair video.
You got yeah. It's a video with him and his dog going around different cities, sitting in different parts of the street, and this bizarre folk song that he's singing.
Oh.
It's an original.
Okay, I think I heard about that. I did not see that. Was it yesterday?
Yeah, it's on. It's on YouTube.
Maybe it was yesterday.
It's on his channel.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll check it
All right,
out.
man.
Definitely.
Have a good night.
Definitely. Have a good
Okay.
night, man.
You too. Take care.
Thank you, man.
I would agree with Bozique. The Ernie Ball Music Man Wolfgangs are better than any. Ernie Ball Music Man are better than the Wolfgangs. I would say that the Peavey Wolfgangs are better than the EVH Wolfgangs. But I would say that the EVH Wolfgangs are great guitars. So, you know, I own one EVH, I own one Peavey, and I own multiple Ernie Balls now.
Sherman Callahan, thank you so much for the super sticker.
And it's funny, somebody said I need to play my guitars more. I do play my guitars a lot. I just rotate them. And so when you have a couple dozen guitars, some of them sit longer than others.
Right. Yeah. And when you do a string change show, you get to go through the guitars and change the strings on them.
A string change.
And that's the other thing. I mean, Jesus. I mean, this thing, again, has been sitting. It rings.
Yeah.
And I haven't done anything to tune it. It's just these things ring out. They're great guitars. You know, it sucks that Peavey stopped making them. I know that they make the HP Special or HP, whatever they're not the same guitar at all. Nowhere near the same. And prior to these guitars, Peavey made very spotty guitars. These were certainly the guitar that saved the brand. And I love this guitar. It's actually, when I play this, I'm like, Jesus, I want to get a couple more now. But I know that I've owned multiple ones and they don't all feel great.
Peavey's biggest mistake was losing Eddie Van Halen, right?
I don't know that it was a choice.
Hello.
Johnny?
Yes.
Hey, Johnny. I was wondering, do you know if Alex Van Halen ever played on anybody else's albums, or was it just Van Halen albums?
As far as us nerds know, it was just Van Halen albums.
So no special guests anywhere or nothing, huh?
As far as recorded commercial stuff,
Yeah.
No,
No?
not that I know of.
There's
All right,
still
thank you.
time
Love
now.
your show.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
We still have hope, though, that Alex might do something somewhere.
Wolfgang has said he doesn't think that that's going to happen.
No, I
as
think he's
far
retired.
as far as the Roth show, that's not true.
I think Alex is done. I think he's going to retire. He's got plenty of money. I don't think he's interested in doing anything. I think he's just going to go off and be an old man. And that's okay.
Steve Carmichael. Wait a minute.
Does Alex have children?
Mm-hmm.
He does?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I think other than, I know Al has done, I don't know if he's played on any stuff, but I know he's played live shows, like Buddy Rich live shows and sat in, that kind of stuff. But I don't think he's ever played on an album.
Nothing commercial like guest appearance. Edward has, obviously. Supposedly Michael Anthony has.
I think Edward is on that
Supposedly.
Private Life record too, the one that he produced.
Where at?
The
Where
pink
do you?
one. I forget which song, but
The
I
pink
bet
one.
you.
So the second one.
You know,
Yeah,
I have a thought, though. What
I
about...
bet you've heard it too, right, Johnny? You've heard it. You go, that sounds like Eddie's in there.
Dude, I had those brand new when they came out. I saw the band when they opened for Van Halen in '88.
Right.
So, but truthfully, I haven't heard those albums since. Although I actually did, for some reason, I was watching some of their videos the other day on YouTube. So I've been thinking of them lately.
Yeah,
It's
I listened
interesting.
to the Pink record. I forget just the self-titled Pink one.
The Pink one. They only had the two.
The
that I
two,
can
yeah,
think
and
of.
only one was big, was semi big. Let's see if I can find the song. But I heard it. I was like, that sounds an awful like EVH on the buried in the track.
What
On one
about
of the rhythm
some
tracks.
of the what about
Huh.
some of the Sammy solo stuff? You know that Eddie came in and played bass on some of that, Where Eagles Dare, some of that kind of
He
stuff.
did a
Alex
whole
might
album.
have been in on
He-
some of that,
Oh yeah, Eddie did. Eddie played a lot of bass on Sammy's stuff.
right? Just so it wouldn't sound like a Van Halen record.
He
And
did
of
a whole
course
he did a whole
but-
album with him.
Right, Alex might have played on some of that stuff. Maybe.
No.
Don't think so?
I don't think he was in the credits. I think it was Sammy's drummer that was on that. What's his name? Lauser?
David Lauser.
Lauser. Bro is his name.
David Lauser, then Alex Van Halen.
And Eddie, obviously the Starfleet record, he's great on that.
Yeah.
And the Michael Jackson stuff.
And I love everybody talks about the Never Said Goodbye album, which was just called Sammy Hagar originally, and then they renamed it for some strange reason.
They renamed it because they had a contest for somebody to name it, and this girl won the contest, and that was her pick, was Never Say Goodbye. I used to buy Van Halen memorabilia from her in the mid-90s, like the tour books and bootleg cassettes and stuff.
Yeah, Brian May did test positive for the big disease that we don't talk about. He said Brian
Recently?
May's has had a rough couple of years between his ass injury and dealing with other various illnesses. I mean, getting old sucks, and he's pretty old. But he's great. Brian May I think Brian may be one of the three most underrated guitar players of all time. I don't think that he gets credit for being as good as he is, because Queen's music was guitar oriented in the beginning and then became so poppy and so well known for the vocal talents of it, that Brian's guitar, and he's another one of those guys that when you hear him play, his tone is instantly identifiable.
Yeah, it's a total.
it's Brian. You know it's
song,
Brian.
Keep Yourself Alive. That song, Keep Yourself Alive, is just like all guitar, heavily flanged, super cool. It's when we first really heard that tone.
But there are guys that they can just plug in and hit a chord, and you can just tell with your eyes closed, you can tell who it is. Obviously Eddie is one of those. I think Steve Stevens is one of those. And Brian May is one of those. They're just and Angus, you just know who it is from one chord. It's, and obviously it's in their fingers, in their hands, whatever it is.
What about Slash? Does he fall into that?
No, I think Slash has a great tone, but I don't think if you just heard Slash play an A, I don't think that it's Slash. I think anybody with that setup is going to sound like that. Now, once Slash starts playing and he's into his solos, like that legato solo, that run at the end of Paradise City, and the end guitar solo of Paradise City, he does a legato descending run that is as good as anything that's ever been recorded. And that is phenomenal. And that you can tell it's Slash. But as far as just hitting one chord, no, I don't think you can tell. Oh, yeah. I understand, Bozique. I know the chords are mostly Malcolm, and you're right. But when you hear Angus, like when he just played the opening chord of, let's say, like Guns for Hire live, and he plays that very first, you just know that's Angus. There's a filth that he gets with just his fingers, an SG and a Marshall dimed. There's just something that comes through the guitar through Angus's hand. There's something about his touch that is singular, which I think is great.
Mm-hmm. But can you say the same thing though?
Ted Nugent does that.
Ted Nugent has basically taken what Chuck Berry did and Angus Young did and just taken it to another level. What I like about Ted Nugent's playing, and the reason why Ted Nugent has what he has, is that he plays through hollow bodies. You know, that Gibson Birdland gives him a much rounder sound. It's almost like it's like a jazz guitarist playing hard rock because the tone of the guitar. Ted Nugent doesn't have the same tone when he has the Birdland as he does when he has the Paul Reed Smiths in his hand. It's two different styles, two different sounds, and I don't know that it works the same. But Ted Nugent had, you know, he had different tones throughout his career. The early part of his career was way more psychedelic. Then he went through the Little Miss Dangerous tone where it was very processed, and now it's a little bit more raw again.
Right.
I really liked his Damn Yankees.
Terrible Ted.
Ted's a great guitar player. Ted's a guy that, unfortunately, his mouth has diminished the appeal of his musical style. Whether you agree, disagree, or you're indifferent to it, you know, sometimes an opinion is formed about somebody regardless of their musical ability, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's the whole you'll alienate half our audience by saying that.
Sure.
I don't care.
Yeah, well, Ted's got a big enough audience, and he's got enough money, and he's got enough outside musical interests. He's been around long enough where he can afford to make those sort of statements. But a younger musician who takes a stance like Ted Nugent is committing fair career suicide. So,
and even if Ted's career went completely bankrupt, he could still go out in the woods and shoot a rabbit and cook it up, and he'd be fine.
Can't Drive 55 brings up Satch and Vai. Both similar tones. Vai, definitely you can tell his touch. When Steve Vai does a guitar run, you know it's Steve Vai. Again, it's in his fingers. Same thing with Satriani. It's in his fingers. Although Satriani, there's so much processing in his sound that I think a lot of guitar players that have similar technique, you know, and I'll use Johnny's friend Alex as an example. I think if Johnny's friend Alex sat down in front of Satriani's rig and picked it up and you shut your eyes, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between the two. I don't think that Satriani's tone and touch are singular, but I do think that they're magnificent. I think it's great, but I think there are a lot of guys that sound like Satriani.
What about Brian Setzer?
Brian Setzer's
he
fucking
got a
awesome.
unique tone unlike nobody else.
Absolutely. He's the only one that does what he does. He's the only one that does what he
Christmas
does.
Thing right now?
What?
He does that Christmas thing every year. Is he out doing his Christmas tour right now? I haven't heard anything out of Brian.
No, I mean, he does. I don't know that he does it. He's doing it this year. I mean, obviously,
I don't know.
I think a lot of people are taking time off this year.
But I haven't heard anything.
The orchestra?
Yeah. Brian Setzer's friggin' awesome. Brian Setzer's a great guitar player.
No tour dates currently.
Yeah, I mean, that rockabilly thing that he does, that Dwayne Eddy, you know, open Gretsch, you know, big hollow body Gretsch.
And the whole band, you know, a whole horn section and everything.
Oh,
all
yeah.
the Christmas stuff that he does.
I
that
know
would be
drummer.
A fun gig that'd be a great date night.
I'm Facebook friends with the drummer that plays with him because he used to play with Andy Summers.
Yeah, Brian.
What about
Bernie
Andy
Dressel
Summers?
is his name.
Does Andy have could hit an A chord and everybody would know, oh, that's the Police?
I think only because of the amount of chorus that he uses, and reverb.
With his setup, with his
setup.
He does have a total signature sound there.
Yes. Yeah. And be honest, and you know, somebody mentioned Alex Lifeson. If you want to know how much influence Andy Summers had in the late 70s, early 80s, listen to Moving Pictures from Rush, right? And then listen to Signals from Rush. And there's a completely different guitar tone because that offbeat stinging, it's almost reggae twin tone stinging that Andy Summers brought to the pop music.
Stinging, literally.
Yes, no pun intended. You know, those stings, those musical stings in between the measure. Andy was singular. Again, another guy. We talk about singular guitar players.
He's my man.
Yeah, Andy's super underrated and way older than anybody realizes. He was actually in a version of The Animals, the band that does The House of the Rising Sun, that old 60s song. Andy was in a version of that band that opened for Hendrix.
He had he knew Hendrix. He used to jam with Hendrix.
Yeah.
And he actually had quote unquote made it 10 years before the Police.
Oh yeah, no, Andy.
You know?
Andy didn't need the Police.
He basically forgot everything to join the Police because they're like, hey, we're on to something, and took a chance, and it paid off.
So if Andy Summers never met Sting, he still would have had a career in music.
Yes, I don't know that he wouldn't be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but he would certainly have had a career. Yeah,
he wouldn't have been in the Police, but he would be a session. Definitely, he's been on 20 million records just as a guitar player.
Yeah,
he has.
Yeah,
he's been on a lot.
I heard
records,
they were thinking about him being in the Rolling Stones for a while there.
Huh?
It's possible.
Didn't he audition for the Stones before they got
Ron
Wood?
John Biel, is that true?
It's possible. I mean, he's the age time period works out. It's possible. I don't know enough about Andy Summers to give you that level of, but somebody else brought up a lot of chorus and flanger, and you're absolutely right. Andy Summers actually did what the Edge does in U2 long before the Edge did it.
I think it was the Echoplex that he was so popular for using. That became so popular was that stereo Echoplex.
He used an Echoplex, and Stuart Copeland used an Echoplex on his snare drum.
Yeah,
on the mic.
Yeah, Walking on the Moon, the hi-hat stuff, so tight. That
jazz.
band is so
very jazzy.
good.
That was what was great about the Police.
Deep.
The Police took world music, and combined it with punk. They took reggae and that ska twin tone sound and combined it with punk and jazz. There is no other band on the planet that sounds like the Police. And when you can say that, about a band, then they are legendary. When there's a band, and by the way, the Police smart enough to walk away, whether or not they did it on their under amicable parting or not, but they were smart enough to walk away on top and didn't become a parody of themselves like so many other bands have. They realized, okay, synchronicity is as good as and as big as it's going to get. We're going to walk away now. Best to stop this right now.
They basically walked away, and they basically handed their career, I guess, over to U2.
Yes,
and U2 took it and became the next Police as far as that success.
Now, U2 would have been successful anyway, but I think when the Police getting out of the way, kind of in the way that, not to make the comparison because they're nowhere near as good, but kind of in the way that Godsmack had a career because Alice in Chains fell apart. If Alice in Chains hadn't split up, Godsmack would never have happened. It would never have been a thing because they were a weak version of Alice in Chains during the time that Alice in Chains were on hiatus. And so the guys in Godsmack have been lucky.
90s. Don't go into the 90s. I don't want to hear that Godsmack. Let's get back to the 80s. We were on something there with the Police.
You gotta progress.
What about Keith Richards? Now he wouldn't hit an A, but he'd hit like an open G chord.
An open G, yeah.
Could you tell Keith Richards riff without anything else going on? Just is it that identifiable?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that the Stones are the sum of the parts. I mean, Keith's solo stuff is cool, but there's something about when Keith is playing with Ron, or Keith was actually, to be honest with you, my favorite years of the Stones are the Mick Taylor years. Mick Taylor did for the Stones, for me, what Joe Walsh did to the Eagles, and brought some grit, some filth to the band. Keith is great, but Mick Taylor brought the devil into the Rolling Stones. Brought a little bit of the sinister into that band. That I think that's the period that I love the most of the Stones, is that Mick Taylor years.
Yeah.
I just, the further you get deep into how Keith tuned his guitar, and he didn't have a low E string on there, and he would tune to the open G tunings and all those tunings. That's some cool stuff. And he I don't know how he came up with that back in the 60s or early 70s. No, it's the late 60s. But somebody somewhere taught
Probably
him
broke
how to
a
tune that
string and
thing.
couldn't afford a new one.
He stole it
Somebody
from
taught
he
him
stole
how
it
to
from the
tune
Black
that
Blues
cello.
players. The Black Blues players would play and break strings and then just tune and make and just use two fingers and go and do all that. And that's where Keith got a lot of his style from. And by the way, that's the great thing about Keith Richards. Keith Richards has a thing, which is, you know,
And he's Keith Richards.
and he's Keith fucking Richards. Yeah, Stephen Franklin brings up Tom Schultz is a guy that has a definitive tone, but that's equipment. Although
Yeah.
I will tell you, if you listen to some of the guitar solos on that, I mean, look, the first Boston album is unassailable. You can't badmouth it. We've all heard it 9 million times and we're tired of it.
You hear it every day.
I hear it every day on my job. That said, you listen to Foreplay a Long Time from start to finish. It is an absolute motherfucker of a piece of music. It is just perfect. I mean, the worst song on Boston's debut album is Something About You. In my opinion, is Something About You, and even that is magnificent. I mean, that record is perfect. It sounds perfect. The songwriting is perfect. The playing and performances by all members of the band are perfect. Brad Delp's vocal performance is unparalleled for a debut album. It should be up there with the White Album and with Dark Side of the Moon, or Sgt. Pepper and Dark Side of the Moon, or whatever the great rock albums of all time. The first Boston album should be in that category of one of the top 5 rock albums in the history of recorded music. It is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Kurt's got another question. Go ahead, Kurt.
Okay. Hey, you guys talking about legendary guitar guys. Where do you guys put Neil Schon from Journey? I'm putting him top 5, top 3 all time. How about you guys? He's a solo master. What do you guys think?
Well, he follows me on Twitter, so I think he's cool.
I think Neil is underrated. I would not put him in top 3, top 5.
According to Kurt, he's not. Is it Kirk or Kurt? I'm sorry. According to Kurt, he's top 3. So he's not under.
I would not say Neil Schon is a top 3 player. I would agree that he is an underrated player. I would say that Journey found the exact same formula that AC/DC found on a different level, and that is they wrote songs that rocked enough for guys, and the pop hooks were amazing for women. Journey is the epitome of great corporate rock. I mean, you listen to the solo in Faithfully, you listen to the solos in Who's Crying Now, you listen to the solo in Be Good to Yourself. I mean, the guitar solos in Journey songs are really, really fucking good. And Neil did the HSAS record with Sammy Hagar, which I think is the best thing that either of them have done in their career. I think the HSAS record is a phenomenally underrated album. Phenomenally underrated record.
And it's live, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Isn't it?
It's live. And it goes back to that discussion we were having earlier about live, recording live.
Yeah. I had
but
that
Journey
one.
is great.
Yeah, I think Journey is awesome.
Yeah, they are. They're absolutely, we can joke about, we joke about certain bands. If it weren't for Journey, that corporate rock thing wouldn't have happened. I mean, Journey was so good. Jefferson Airplane became Jefferson Starship and started to sort of become like Journey. Journey is so good. Kansas started to sound like Journey. Journey is so good. Foreigner started to sound like Journey. I mean, Journey did something that is pretty amazing. That was game changing. Is it innovative? Not really. I mean, look, the first couple of Journey records are basically Santana records. The next record and the stuff that they did, before Steve Perry joined the band. Yeah, it started to do well. Greg Rowley was an okay vocalist and he wrote okay songs. But when Jonathan Cain came in from the Babies and started writing hits for Journey, they became so much better. It's almost like when Phil Collins took over for Genesis. Great bands, but there was this tipping point that happened that went from good to legendary. Journey became legendary when Jonathan Cain started writing their music.
To money.
Yeah. You know, when it's all said and done, you can, you know, a friend of mine worked for Roadrunner Records, which was the record company that Nickelback was on when they had their extended run of just, you couldn't get the hell away from Nickelback. And he says, you know, I would like to hate Chad Kroeger, but he paid for the addition on my house. And he's right. I mean, when it's all said and done, even Mark McGrath said it. Mark McGrath said, I would hate me if I weren't in this band. I would hate this band if I weren't in it. Johnny Resnick from Goo Goo Dolls. Goo Goo Dolls were a fantastic sort of hardcore punk band from Buffalo. And then they were like, oh, wait, if we write a hit, we can get fucking rich. Journey figured out the same thing.
Buy a house instead of renting an apartment.
Yep. Journey figured out the same thing. And John Mayer figured this out too. John Mayer can sell 100,000 records as John Mayer, who's basically better than Joe Bonamassa. John Mayer's a fantastic guitar player. He can sell 100,000 records as John Mayer, the amazing guitar player, or he can write pop songs and sell millions. And he figured it out. Joe Bonamassa is a name drop. Most people don't know who Joe Bonamassa is. He's a great guitar player, but nobody cares. John Mayer is a household name.
I actually like.
He's a great guitar player.
Album. I like some of the new John Mayer stuff, surprisingly enough.
He's great.
And what's weird about John is he puts out a YouTube video and it's a guitar lesson. He goes, hey, I just wanted to show you guys a little bit about the, you know, A minor pentatonic. And I'm like, he's doing a video.
He's self-aware.
Giving a guitar lesson.
He's self-aware, and I think that's great. I think that, you know, I don't know if anybody has seen it, but John Mayer would go out into the parking lot during John Mayer concerts dressed in costumes and make fun of John Mayer. Try and get how people find out how people feel about John Mayer and put it on video and stuff like that. He's self-aware. He seems like a good guy. He's a phenomenal guitar player at the level of Eric Clapton, at the level of Gary Clark, at the level of Joe Bonamassa, or better. But he realized I can do this and be credible, or I can do this and be wealthy. And it is the music business. You want to be credible? Sit in your room, play your guitar, be credible. You want to make millions? Write a hit.
You want women at your shows? Write a hit.
It's kind of interesting that if you can write a song that women love, you're on a whole different plateau. If you can make a girl cry, or if you can make a girl just love your song,
well, you got more people. You got more people loving you
than doing heavy metal songs for a bunch of teenage boys. It's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Women control the budget.
They do. They
control the pocketbook.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately what it takes. Look, I can tell you, as somebody who works in the broadcast industry, we can be great with men. We have great numbers with men. You know, we're one of the top 2 rated morning shows in the market overall. But if you take women out of that equation, we drop down. Women control the world. They control the budget. They make the purchasing decisions in the house. They usually take care of whatever food and or supplies are needed. You know, we are under this mistaken impression that men run the world. We really don't. We do everything we can to find a woman, because we all want our mother. To keep her happy. That's what we do. Women run the world. And if you don't write, you know, look, I love Motorhead. I think I've seen less than 100 women in a Motorhead show. I do not enjoy Dave Matthews Band, but there are a lot of good-looking women at a Dave Matthews Band show. So,
and just so you guys know, we were talking about my girlfriend last week. But actually last night, me and my girlfriend, we watched 3 movies back to back.
Wait a minute. Did you just do show prep?
For me, I was the one facing the television.
And he's drinking Bang. Look at this.
Oh, did you write that? Did you spend all afternoon writing that joke, Dan, and we fucked it up?
Yeah, say that again.
Go ahead. Deliver that joke again. Go ahead.
One more time.
Take another shot at it, Dane.
Last night, me and my girlfriend, we watched 3 movies back to back. Fortunately for me, I was the one facing the television.
That's pretty
dad
good.
Jokes. You can YouTube them. Gonna give you guys a dad joke every week, every Tuesday. I hope you guys are probably gonna not let me come on if
I've got them too.
Continue that.
That just happened.
I've got them too. What was it? The one that I heard today. Did you hear about the new restaurant called Karma?
I know this joke, Johnny.
Karma. No, I haven't.
there's no menus, but you get what you deserve.
All right,
I heard that one today.
All right, I got another one.
A baby seal walks into a club.
An invisible man and an invisible married an invisible woman. Okay, an invisible man married an invisible woman. Their kids are nothing to look at either.
Wow.
They're all. You can Google dad jokes. They're everywhere.
No, I can't. Wow.
Wow, yeah.
I did make a Merry Christmas video on my channel. I want you guys to all watch it. It's only a minute
You know what's a
long.
good idea, Dane, is going on
Lots of
somebody's
fun.
show and plugging your channel.
I know. You tell a
It's
joke,
always-
you plug
always
the
a quiet
channel.
move.
You show Bang Energy. Plug the YouTube channel.
Thank you, Janice.
I got to put this away. I have to put this away and get some more Pepsi. I'll be right back.
There is 700 and some milligrams of caffeine in this Bang Energy drink.
Oh my gosh. Do you usually drink that stuff?
It's like 4 cups of coffee. If you have just a big old 16-ounce Mountain Dew,
Yeah.
there's 71 grams of caffeine in that. That Bang Energy has 700.
Does it just make you
And then
crazy?
who drinks those things?
In the chat, who watches? Do you guys watch? What am I saying?
All these guys watch.
Who drinks energy drinks in the chat? We got 116 watching. Do you guys drink energy drinks? Yes or no? I drink tea. I drink black tea. Anything worse than that, and I go crazy. Can't take it.
Joe Harvey 84, thank you so much. Subs to Dane.
Wow.
I work really hard on my
Yes.
YouTube channel. Not really, but some days I work hard on it.
Mm-hmm.
Some days it's a lot of fun. Oh, you know what I got? And the video
No.
comes out
A
tomorrow. Let me
guitar?
show you real quick. I got a package from 60 Cycle Hum. He's the YouTuber down in San Diego, right?
No idea.
His name's Ryan. His channel is called 60 Cycle Hum. He ended up with something like 280 some of these Azer digital reverb pedals. And the
Man,
company
that's-
just gave him like maybe 300 of these things because about 10% of them were malfunctioning. So he gave him, this company gave him.
What color is that?
208, it's brown, an Azer reverb.
That's
And so Azer gave him 284 or something like that. You guys probably have seen, some of you guys probably have seen the video. But he sent me one. So how cool is that? I got one. And it works.
nice.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that really is a brown.
yeah, made in China.
Sounds good though.
I did a video on it. It comes out at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I set it up in my deluxe reverb Tone Master amplifier. And so I played this for a second, and you can see where I have the knobs, the mix and the dwell. God, look at what that bang
All
does.
the way
It makes
off.
me all shaky. I've got all that caffeine in me now.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with that Bang Energy, man.
Yeah, so you can see where I have the mix and the dwell almost off because this thing is over the top. It would probably go better if you were in an effects loop because it is way over the top. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it's a turd. It's a turd, but it was kind of cool to have something show up in the mail once in a while.
I thought that what was that
Nice.
delay that I bought from you that you got the blue one that you just resold? I thought was a turd.
Oh, is it Delta
Labs.
Lab?
Delta Lab, yeah. Ooh.
Which was a Guitar Center house brand.
Yeah, that was, well, it wasn't originally. It was originally based out of Massachusetts, a company out of Massachusetts. And they were pretty good back then. And then I guess, why is Guitar Center in bankruptcy protection now? Because they bought all these bad brands like Delta Labs and Acoustic and put out really poor versions of those guitars and of those amplifiers and effects, and then put out substandard guitars from Mitchell
And
as their house brand.
Rogue Acoustic.
Yeah, and just
Those
awful. Just did an awful job of trying to get into a business. They should have just stayed being a retailer and not a manufacturer. And those that Delta Labs delay was just garbage. But
Yeah, because it just
I think
ruins your reputation. This thing came in today. A Digitech.
Oh, nice. Old school.
A DF7 distortion factory.
Oh my goodness.
So I guess there's a bunch of different distortions in this thing.
TC Electronic made some good pedals. Yeah.
I got one more I got today. Let me show you.
I have a TC Electronics Hall of Fame reverb, Hall of Fame 2 with the multiple reverb, settings in it. That's a fantastic pedal. Love that pedal. It's my favorite reverb pedal is the TC Electronics. The Hall of Fame reverb is fantastic.
Very cool. Yeah, there was a lot of wild stuff.
So I got my hands on this thing today. An Eventide H7. It's a harmonizer.
Oh, cool.
And these babies bring like $500.
You'll trade it for something.
Priced at,
is that your price?
No, I have it priced at $319. But they're very expensive. You can do all kinds of harmony parts and everything.
That's the Steve Vai secret sauce.
Is it really?
Yeah, Steve Vai does a lot of Eventide stuff. That's what sort of makes his multiple guitar runs, the harmonized guitar runs that he does. He runs them through the Eventide.
It's like it's got the whole digital thing going on here. It's got a little wheel here that turns. So
will you sell that tonight?
I don't know anything about it.
Will you sell it? Renus wants it.
Looks like Wahorlak is in.
If you guys call me at my store tomorrow during regular business hours, then we
call
can do
now. You're fucking there now.
No,
you're there now. I can't believe somebody says to me, Johnny, hey Johnny, I'd like to give you $320 right now. No, call me tomorrow. Unfucking believable.
Dane, you know how you were just talking about your YouTube channel?
Yes.
You know what this is? What this actually is? This is Shop at Home.
It's commercial. This is a commercial.
This is live. This could be live selling.
These guys really want that. Renus is drunk at home.
That's a good idea. Also, hey, Johnny, I'd like to give you $319, and you're a piece of shit.
The only people that have bought stuff from me, if you really want to buy something from me, you call me during regular business hours. I'll run your card over the thing. I'm going to do that at night over the phone.
Yeah, because it's such like you're sitting.
I will do that during
right there in
hours.
the store, and literally see where my hand is going. That's how far away the credit card reader is. I mean, it literally is such an imposition for you to go.
You can turn the camera off while you do it.
You could go.
I'm talking about selling stuff.
Hello? Hi? Yes, I'm in the middle of a YouTube show. Hang on 1 second.
There's 112 people looking at you right now, Dane. Do you have 112 people walking into your store?
And 100 of those people have my phone number already when they can call me when they're not drunk off their ass at
hey Dane,
in the middle of the night. They can call me if they really want it.
Dane, if they call you
when he's straight, and
if they call you, right?
stoned out
they're-
of his mind.
If they call you and they give you their credit card number and you run it and it gets approved,
Yes.
you're out. Game over. There's no, are you passing moral judgment on your customers? Yeah, Tom,
Yes.
it's a business. Just take the fucking money. Sell them the Eventide.
Okay, Renus, call me right now. We'll do it.
Renus, call him. Call him and get the gig. Come on. Make it happen.
Anybody that wants that or wants anything from him, call him right now. Buy a
He's
pack
a
of strings from him
business.
right now.
Unbelievable.
He's not going to call. You're allowed to go on the comments at night watching a program like this and say, I want that.
What's your phone number? We have my number. I give my number out, preferably on WhatsApp.
Renus says,
Yes.
I'm not drunk. I don't drink or smoke.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number? What's your
It's
It's
number,
okay
Dan?
to say, I want that and not mean I'm going to purchase it right now. Get the card out.
You are the worst businessman I've ever met. You run a business, people want to buy things from you, and you don't sell. You don't want to sell them to. What are you doing? Dane, come on, brother.
There's
Sell
there's
it.
a proper way of running a business.
Yes, it's called selling merchandise for money.
See, now he
the-
even wants free shipping.
The internet business is 24 hours. It never sleeps. Huh? What? He wants to buy a Zims t-shirt. Will you sell him a t-shirt right now?
If you go on Teespring, you purchase your Zims Guitars t-shirts on Teespring.
Wow, you've made it more difficult.
Hey, I did buy a couple of my buddies a couple of Zims Guitars t-shirts, but they're not going to be delivered until after the holidays. Yeah, Johnny's got his. We were at the NAMM show and I had a whole bag of them.
Dane, how long have I known you?
And Johnny, I would say probably about 5 years now.
How many Zims t-shirts do I have?
Well, the problem is they're very expensive when you try to get them in those big, giant, enormous sizes. Like, are you a 3X?
No, I'm not.
Are you
I'm I'm a
2X?
2X, yeah. It's all right, Dane.
Sad
I mean,
Ace doesn't
it's
ship.
it's
You
not
guys
it's
should
not
know that.
it's not like I haven't spent enough money in that store over 5 years to buy a t-shirt. It's okay though. Christmas is
Yeah,
coming next year too.
Easy to go on Teespring and have it ordered too. Now, how long have I known you, Paul? And I don't have your address.
Right, because I don't
could
want you at my
ship
house.
you
Because I don't run a
guitar to
business.
your address.
Because I don't run a business. I don't have your address. You actually could get my address though, because
you my address.
you probably could get my address though, because you have my credit card number.
I don't have your credit card number. How would I
Sure
have
you do.
that?
It's in your receipts. Wow, you don't
It's
know
in
that
those
you have my credit
receipts.
card number in your receipts.
No, I don't get your. I can't dig up your. I can get your credit card number. Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
I'm
from those
saying that you can
receipts?
probably
Oh,
find out where I
man, those
live because of
receipts.
that.
You haven't scanned a receipt in months, and it's in an envelope somewhere. I could never find that.
This is the worst friendship ever. This is-
Paul,
this-
we just need bro time together, bro. We need to go do something. You know what?
I came in the other day just to hang out, and Mancuda called, and I left.
We need to hang out. Here's the deal, man. I wanted to go to see Steel Panther together. That would have
I
been
hate
epic.
fucking Steel Panther. I hate
And
Steel
here's
Panther.
the other thing, that the show got canceled for some reason.
All right, so aren't you glad I didn't go?
Maybe it was lack of ticket sales, or why
Maybe.
would Steel Panther cancel at the marquee?
Because they're not good.
Okay, I got an idea, Paul. We have a real chance to really get in
The
tight.
bond? We're gonna bond?
We're gonna have some bro bonding moments.
Is this the part where
My
you fit?
band- okay, New Year's Day, I'm playing in LA. Let's drive the big ass truck. I'll put my guitar in the back.
I can't
Come on,
leave
let's
my
do an LA
dogs
trip, man.
I
Hollywood.
I can't leave my dogs, you dumb motherfucker. I don't have a family
We'll
to
bring
take
them with
care
us.
of my shit.
We'll bring the
Yes.
dogs with us.
Yes, because my arthritic 11-year-old German Shepherd. You want my dog to shit and piss on you? Because if you're into that sort of
It
thing,
won't be on me. It'll be in the truck.
it'll be on you in
No,
the truck.
luckily this next show is on New Year's Day. So I'm not going to be open that day anyhow. So I shouldn't miss much.
You guys is your whole band going?
I hope so. The last one we had to cancel because of
Drama.
the big C word.
Cunt?
No, close, but close.
Closed.
Sorry. Oh, boy.
Okay. So
No,
Dane,
my guitar player is a female. All right. That's what he was trying to do.
That's
there.
no. I would never say that about your guitar player.
I
No,
heard you say that.
I've never said that. Whoa!
Man,
Don't
our
put
friendship
don't put that
really
don't put that
starting to
drama in
suffer
my
now,
mouth.
bro.
Don't put that drama in my mouth. Your guitar player and I are friends. Sure,
Not
she
when
strung
she's
me along
watching
for 2
this.
years to swap out a
After she
Les Paul
watches this, she's
for an
not
Ibanez
gonna-
Gem. I have never. Yes, hi Ellie. Thank you, Keith. I would never, ever, ever say that about your guitar player. That is beyond me. That is outside of my scope of mean. Like I'll ball bust, but I would never. Nope. Sorry. I mean, look,
We
there are some women's up inside that I hate. Some women's that I've met in my life that I hate that I haven't dropped that word on. I have ex-girlfriends
That's a bad
that I
word.
hate. I have an ex-wife that I don't hate at all. I've come across a lot of women. I do not use that word to describe women. I use that word to describe guys because in England it means you're an asshole. But I don't
use it all the
that word.
time.
Yeah, I don't use that word in any way, shape, or form to
It used to be really
toward
bad
women.
to use the C word when you're talking to a woman, but I kind of think they don't mind as much anymore. And I mean,
Good
they
luck.
would
You know what?
call-
Try that. Why don't you call
They
up? Why
would
don't you call up your girlfriend right now and just go, you know what, honey? I just was thinking, and you know what you are, and see how that flies. I double dog dare you.
me and my girlfriend last night, we watched 3 movies back to back. Luckily, I was the one facing the television.
So are you going to sell? Are you going to sell anything?
Do you see my phone ringing? Just because somebody watching this show says, I want that, doesn't mean they're ready to pull the trigger on it.
Right.
What happens is guys come into the store. They plug it into a nice amp. They sit there and they noodle with it for a little while. They play a couple Steve Vai riffs if they know one. And then they're like, yeah, this is what I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So since we have 117 watching,
Dang.
I will do a giveaway. Let's see, what do I have here? I've been doing guitar picks lately because they're easy, you know, for now. I'm working up to the bigger stuff, but I'll do another one of these Dava. I've got a Dava pick here.
I got a couple of things to give away
Oh, okay.
after the Dava pick.
I've got a Dava. What is it called?
It'll cost you more to ship that pick than that pick is worth.
Yeah,
That's
probably.
okay. He's
So
gonna.
that's flexible. That one would have been much easier to go through my sinus cavity.
It's the flexible one.
But it's super thick, though.
Yeah, but
The
it was,
Dava?
that would have been much easier to put that through my sinus cavity than a Fender Heavy. I don't know what I was thinking.
So be like Dave Ennis. Hashtag win in the chat right now. Hashtag win. We have 116 watching.
We had 117 a few seconds ago. I mean, who left?
I don't know.
Okay, everybody put hashtag win in the chat right now.
In the chat.
And that's how you can win
120.
this in the comments.
This pick will be
And that's how
yours,
you can-
possibly. Yes, and if you've won something within the past couple weeks, you're ineligible for a month. So hopefully, we'll get a new winner. So we'll let that run for a little bit. 121 watching. Man, if I was to sell this guitar pick right now, I'm sure somebody would buy it. But
They would have to call you, and you'd have to ship it.
yeah,
That would, but if you ran a business, that would be kind of the way it works. That's how a business transaction works. Yeah, it's a good point. Hellstorm says Mustache gives all of his viewers free picks, but that's because nobody would pay for a Mustache pick.
I actually had one. I threw it away.
Wow,
years ago.
that was a bold statement, Johnny. You've made a tough stand.
Yeah, I had this a signed CD. I threw it in the trash. I'm like, this is horrible.
I know. I'm with you.
So, 122 watts.
I might get my hands on an autographed George Lynch vinyl record. How cool would that be?
That'd be awesome.
Which record is it?
I don't know, but McKnight was in here on Saturday, Phil McKnight, and he told me he got a whole bunch of them. He interviewed George or something. George gave him a whole bunch of stuff. And I'm like, I want one. So you never know. He might come through and give me one of them. Or he might just give them away to all his patrons because he's got like 5,000 patrons or something.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Patreons, Wayno, he's been a member of Johnny Beane TV on YouTube for 13 months. Top of the world package. Hello, friend. Sorry I'm late. Framingham is busy tonight. What did I miss?
Yeah, Framingham is where he's a firefighter. That's the town we used to live in.
Okay.
Wayno was the drummer in our band and my best friend and the closest thing I have to a brother. With the exception of my actual brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And Wayno is a brother. So we've got that going for us, which is nice.
Nice.
He's black and he's proud and he's ready and he's hyped, plus he's amped. Most of his heroes don't appear in No Stamp.
Man.
I was going to say, Paul, I would consider you my brother, but if I don't even know where to come to pick you up when you're need an emergency trip to the hospital or something.
I have your number. You won't answer or sell to me.
Feel free to use it. Give me a call.
We can hang out, but you're fucking busy selling guitars to people.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you know what's kind of interesting, guys? Show this for a second. This might be interesting to you guys because this is a flyer that the Nile Theater brought in to me and said, hey, can I hang this in your window? They gave me a couple of them.
Where's the Nile Theater?
The Nile Theater is on Main Street in downtown Mesa. And
Really?
it's been there a long time, and it's kind of like a warehouse that's just got nothing in there but a stage. But it gets these kind of bands in here. And I might be able to read some of this stuff off, but some of these bands that are playing here, geez, let me know. Oh, Dragon Force right here. Okay, so we were talking Dragon Force the other day, or a couple months ago, right? So this is a little venue that does maybe 300 people to 500 people. And I was thinking Dragon Force was way bigger than 300 people.
Nope. In Europe, they might be, but not here.
300 dudes.
Yep. Remember we were talking about writing songs for chicks?
Yeah.
Wayno, Dane? Oh, Wayno.
Hey, I guess I am coming to be your brother if you're going to
No, Wayno is responding to people. People are hitting on Wayno in the chat, which is hilarious because he's a dude. He's a big black dude. I mean, if you're into that, have at it. I mean, Wayno, I'm sure there's enough alcohol any port in a storm. But
Oh,
just saying.
you know what? Sepultura with Sacred Reich and Crowbar. Tuesday, April 5th.
Wayno did get me a shirt at one point. Actually, Wayno had to get a shirt. I'm going to ignore your story, Dane, because it's not as interesting as the one Wayno was telling.
I don't really know any of the bands.
So
I know that we had some bands to look at that are out touring, but I don't know any of them.
So I used to live on West 9th Street in South Boston. It was a condo that with my brother and another friend who was basically taking our rent money and paying off his private credit card bills. So we got evicted. But the room that was my room was illegal because it only had one door. You know what I mean? It didn't have windows. It was like in the center of the building. It didn't have a window. It didn't have a secondary escape, like a fire escape. So it was technically not a legal room. We're having a party, and I'm and as is often the case with Wayno, most of our stories involve me, fornication, and him there. For whatever reason, although we never double teamed a chick at the same time, which is I was surprised that never happened. We have slept with the same girl, just not at the same time. But we were involved in we were mid coitus is really what I'm trying to say. And see, Dane doesn't care. It involves women. Why would he care? And Wayno opens the door while we're in. Yeah, essentially, Keith Campbell was kind of a walk-in closet. We're mid coitus, and Wayno walks in and just walks over to the bureau, and opens the drawer, and I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He goes, I need a t-shirt. I said, why do you need a t-shirt? He goes, I lost my shirt in a game of darts. I don't know what t-shirt he had, like a beer t-shirt or something like that. But he bet somebody his t-shirt in a game of darts during this party. And he just walked in on me and this girl who will remain nameless because we're still friendly. She lives in Key West, Florida now. And it was just one of those things. Hi, Wayno. Hi. And he grabbed the t-shirt and walked out. It was the most casual, weird, like walking in mid-coitus thing that I've experienced. Wayno and I have some great stories. We should write a book because it would be way more interesting than #win.
That would be great.
That story happened. Wayno remembers. It was a Miller Lite shirt, if I remember correctly, Wayno. I think you lost a Miller Lite t-shirt. That just shows you what kind of parties we had. We were really roaring, betting t-shirts and dart games. By the way, alcohol and darts, always a good plan.
Or alcohol and lawn darts.
No.
Yeah, why do they have those darts boards in there?
The rule was you drank until there was no alcohol left or the sun came up, whichever happened first. And if the sun cracked the horizon and you were drinking a beer, you had to finish the beer and then go to bed and leave the rest of the beers for the morning.
Speaking of that, I do all of that over on Twitch in Grand Theft Auto. So, and you can subscribe to me for free on Twitch using Amazon Prime. So,
I can't believe we didn't die.
So come on.
We've done some weird stuff, Wayno and I. Pissing in somebody's book was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
In their library, in their house, because we were stuck in the house. Our ride passed out, so we decided we hated the people we were staying. The people we were staying with were assholes, so we pissed underneath their seat cushions in the living room, and we'd open pages of their books in their library that was on the wall. You know, kind of like how I have the bookshelves right here. Imagine just taking a book out and pissing in the book and then shutting it and putting it back up in the wall. It sounds wrong now when I say it.
Paul, you were telling me a story the other day where you had to climb up in somebody's window.
At my friend Erica's house, yeah. I climbed up. We were climbing up the outside of her house. And, it was one of those old school, like triple deckers in Boston, the old, you walk in and then you have 2 other floors on it and you climb up. The first thing you grab the shelf and the shutter and you're climbing. And then one of the slats gives way and you just basically slide down the house with your fingers like an old cartoon all the way down until the side hits a tree branch and it fucking stabs you in the side. Yeah, Wayno, tell the story in the chat about the time that we were at the cast party for the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and my ride was leaving, so I just decided, okay, sorry, honey, gotta go, and left her there on the bed.
Just left her there.
Just left her there. Sorry, honey, gotta go. Can't finish. See you later.
All good. Symmetry. All good, man.
We did stupid shit.
All right, Johnny, go ahead. And I'm not seeing any hashtag win in the comments. So go ahead and let's do that.
Everybody is entered that,
We'll
that
move
wants to possibly win the Dava pick, which will be shipped.
And then we'll move on to probably something that nobody wants, but we'll give it a try.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. All right.
We'll move on.
Here we go. Last chance. Last chance. And again, if we land on a name that's already won in the past couple weeks, we'll have to spin again. So here we go. Rob V.
Rob V.
I don't think he's won yet, right?
I don't even recognize the name. Has he been around for a while?
I have
You
no
know him?
idea. Rob V, you are the winner of the Dava guitar pick. So if you would like it, you have to message me, and preferably on WhatsApp. But if you can text that phone number right there, 415-952-3263. Text me your name, where to send, and I will do that as soon as you contact me. Hopefully soon, even if hopefully you're here, because they might not even be here actually. If you're here, say something in the chat.
Like something like, gee, thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Oh, is that true? Wait a minute.
Is what true?
Dane's giving away the Eventide next? Man.
No. Here's the next great prize. You guys saw last week that we had a little Spinal Tap moment with our stickers, where the whole Stonehenge thing came along, and our stickers ended up being this big.
That's so fucking awesome. I still think you should put it on all your price tags or the back of the headstocks of the guitars you sell.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. All those guitars that I kind of like are parts casters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stick them on there. But we got some new ones made.
Or the guitar
So
cases,
here
like on
are-
the bags or
here's the new
something.
batch of stickers, and they are more of a normal size.
You know what would be great is if you got me a T-shirt.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
So I would need an address to ship it to, or I could just have it hanging out here in the store for the next time you come in. But yeah, Zim's Guitars. Let's do it over again there, Johnny. The whole win me a Zim's Guitar sticker that does have my phone number on it, so you can call me anytime during normal business hours.
Because his business phone is his personal phone. Oh,
Yeah,
did I give that
don't
away?
call me. I keep my phone off. Hey, Rob won again. That was cool.
Wow.
That was easy.
There you
Rob
go.
V. Rob V is here. So Rob, congratulations for the Dava pick. And yeah, message me. My phone number, it's in the description of this video. It's everywhere. You can Google my name and the number pops up. So Dane will spin again, and Dane is giving away a Zim's Guitars sticker.
These are really nice.
The tiny one or the big one?
It's the big one. I think
The
they're
big
like 3x5s or something.
Okay.
Nice vinyl. Super
Awesome.
cool.
All right, you ready?
You can put it on your car, or your guitar case, or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, here we go for the Zims guitar sticker.
Well, you didn't give anybody any time to say I want that, but that's okay. Leo, that's fine. I'll send one to Leo.
Leo, did you win recently? Well,
that doesn't matter. Leo needs one of these things. He watches the show every Tuesday.
All right. If you'll ship that to Leo, all good.
And Johnny, you'll get his address and forward it to me. Will you do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Leo, send me your info right now, please, and I'll get that to him.
Who else wants one? Let's do one more.
Okay, we're doing a this ain't rigged.
Let's put a couple more hashtag win me sticker this time.
Win. We already have 20. We have 24 entries
because
this goes through the same pool of people. All right.
Somebody else wants one of these killer stickers.
All right. Here's another one. Stephen Franklin.
There you go.
You won a Zims guitar.
You put it right on the face of right on the front of your Les Paul Standard.
You put it right on your forehead.
Stick it right on the EDH Frankie that you have.
You stick it over the decal of any product you have, and it instantly becomes a Zims.
That would be cool. Thank you, guys.
So message me, and I will get that message to him. Awesome.
So
this is so weird.
So because Mancuta's not here tonight, Neanderthal has the guitar of the night.
I already showed it.
He already showed one. You showed one. I wonder if there's anybody in here that has access to like 50 other guitars. That they might want to sell. That's what we should be doing, man. Dane, we should be doing a show where you're actually selling the guitar of the day.
Yeah, it could work.
So pick a guitar that you want to sell. Pick a guitar that you want to put a good price on right now, and you just want to move, just for the the sake of the show. Yeah. You'll make some money. It'll be some good practice. You're putting it in front of 100+ people right now.
I would need to have something that has a good case. So I would need something with a nice case.
And none of your guitars come with nice cases?
Probably about 10% of the guitars in here have a nice case. Guys bring cases in, not very many. Guys bring guitars in all the time.
I used to work at a used guitar shop, one of the biggest shops in the Bay Area. And that was always the dilemma was if the guitar came with a case, that really added the value to it. And the case was actually always like when you go to sell the guitar later, it doesn't come with that case. That case is held on to for something else, you know?
They get lost, man. You try to tag them, and a lot of times I leave my high-end stuff in the case, and you walk around and everybody's telling me you should hang that thing. And then if I hang it, then, you got kids playing it and stuff like that. I mean, some of my expensive guitars, I leave them in the cases. And again, other people it's like, no, you should have that thing out where people can see it. But then, if you sell it and then you don't know where the case is, and I got a back room full of cases, but I don't know which one goes to anything. But, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I have one. Here we go.
Dane is currently looking for a guitar or something. Wait, is that fake Ibanez?
No,
It's
this
an-
is
it's
a
an
real
RG.
Ibanez.
Oh, that's a real one?
RG
Oh,
350 DX. Trying to sell this guitars, guys. Pay attention. Everybody pay attention.
Sell it.
Nobody wants this thing. Oh, sorry.
oh, God.
Not anymore.
Ibanez.
The value is dropping.
RG 550 DX. It's a white one.
Listen to that. It shreds.
Well, it would if somebody would.
So how much are those? How much is that?
This bad boy is priced at $300.
3 bills. 3 bills.
What are the pickups in it?
It's the all stock, whatever they are.
Infinities, yeah.
Good night, Bozique.
Whatever they call them. By the way, I bet the neck on that RG is fatter than the neck on that Epi Les Paul behind you.
It probably is.
This is the strangest Les Paul I've ever seen. The one that Dane has here. It's an Epiphone Les Paul from I think the Samick factory. What's the factory code on the back of the headstock, Dane?
It just shows a 1.6.
Or is it an I?
No.
Yes, it
Oh,
is.
maybe that's an I.
Yes.
But this neck is the thinnest neck I have ever out of
On a Les Paul,
on an
absolutely.
Epiphone. It's the narrowest, thinnest little neck. It's like it's very Ibanez RG-ish.
I believe the I factory code. I didn't look it up, but I think it's Shine Guitars, which is one of the better Epiphone subcontractors from the 90s when they were making them in Korea. Shine is spelled SAEIN.
Mm-hmm.
And that it does for a Les Paul that has a shredder neck on it. It's got like an ESP neck on it. It is the thinnest neck I've ever felt on a Les Paul guitar. It approaches Ibanez RG neck thickness, like Ibanez Wizard neck thickness. It's that thin.
It really is. It's amazing. And every time McKnight comes in, I have questions for him. And he came in here Saturday. I was like, dude, check out how thin this neck is on this. And he's like, you know what probably happened is there was some sort of an imperfection in the factory on the back of the neck. Maybe there was a knot in the wood, or there was a soft spot in the wood, or there was a big scratch in the wood. So the factory workers just sanded it down to get rid of the imperfection, and then painted it or whatever is on here. And it's probably a one of a kind.
It's a thin neck,
But
for sure.
it is super thin.
For people that say you can't shred on a Les Paul, you should try playing that guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there we have it. Nobody's interested in any of them. Let's not try to sell stuff on the show anymore. It doesn't work.
Well, it's just repairs me. Just
Somebody
ask how much for
really
the
wants
Epiphone.
to buy something, and it happens. Okay. No, honestly, this show
No,
has
when you
sold stuff for me. I have gotten phone calls the next day, and
Mostly
guys
cranks.
have said,
Yeah,
"Hey,
mostly.
mostly
Lass has
bricks
bought
through
stuff
windows,
from me."
mostly moonings.
Mhm.
Fret
Hey,
Level
Jay.
Midnight has called me the next day and bought stuff from me. Dudes buy stuff from me, but they call me during the day. And we do regular business during regular business hours.
Mm-hmm.
So it
And
has worked.
on QVC, you know, when they showcase a product, they're showing it and talking about it for at least half an hour, at least.
You guys really want to pretend we're QVC and sit here and try to sell guitars?
I pretend like I'm QVC over on Amazon.
I will tell you that if there's a bigger whore on YouTube than Johnny Beane, I haven't met them yet. Johnny is constantly selling. Constantly. Yeah. He's all about trying to get the money, trying to separate you from your dollar. That's the Johnny Beane way.
Now, Paul, come on.
I'm not wrong.
That's not true.
Johnny's not contradicting me, is he? Johnny's
hours like, and hours of free entertainment for these viewers.
Free for you, but Johnny needs to get fucking paid.
It doesn't. This ain't free for me.
No.
It used to be, and like I said this the other day. If this was free, you would only see like 2 of these shows a month. You wouldn't see as many shows as you do. Because I have
but Johnny's making money off of this shit
to do this stuff. So Dane, I'm helping you. I would love to see you buy guitars. I'm not asking for nothing.
And that's a very, very small reason that I do the show, is because it does help the growth of the store. But
wait, are we doing contract negotiations during the show?
But and some of your viewers call me and they buy stuff. Like I said, I've sold a couple pedals. Laz
your viewers
call me up and he'll buy a pedal. I show stuff during the day.
They buy you pizzas?
4 of those crank pedals that I have. Guys call me up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Johnny's audience has fed you, man.
It's not the only reason to be here.
You're literally pissing where you eat. How many times have you got free pizza out of this crowd?
Dude, I paid for most of those pizzas myself.
Oh,
I'd call my friend. I would call friends around town. I'd say, they'd come into the store. I'd say, "Oh, bro, here's $20. Order me a pizza when I'm on the Johnny Beane show tonight."
Oh,
you think I actually get free stuff? Where's my Colonel's popcorn? I've been begging for Colonel's popcorn. Where is it?
Johnny, this is a meltdown.
I bought you know what?
Holy shit!
Brad bought me a pizza. A couple guys have bought me pizzas.
I thought it couldn't get. I thought it couldn't get any much better.
I paid for them damn pizzas. I don't even like pizza.
I didn't think it could get better than me putting a guitar pick in my own nose.
Yeah, Domino's pizzas sucked.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Dane just told us there's no Santa Claus. What an asshole.
If somebody wants to send me a pizza, I would appreciate it.
Now you're begging.
There's times where I'm super hungry because I've been at this store for 10 hours now today. And at this time of the night, it's only 8 o'clock, you get hungry. A pizza would be nice.
Yeah.
But honestly, I don't go home and have pizza.
And this YouTube, this stuff lasts forever. So, and these videos, they get watched, not just live. These good videos get watched hundreds of times throughout the week. So anybody that's watching this, if it's daytime,
they know the pizza thing's a scam.
You can send a pizza to Dane. You can buy a guitar. You can call over there. I mean, it's not like he's not, he's in a real store. It's not fake.
You can send me a pizza anytime during regular business hours. That would be great. Or Colonel's popcorn.
Yeah, which is delicious.
Yeah, that energy drink I took a few sips of, I had to buy that.
Did you buy that just for tonight?
It was pretty good. No, I had one the other day.
I'm just going to sit here and watch you fucking melt down for the next 45 minutes. This is fucking classic.
All right, fine. I won't say anything else about pizza that I pretty much had to buy. No, you're talking about Johnny, and it costs a lot for Johnny to do this. I'm standing up for Johnny now. Costs a lot of money for Johnny to do this. Plus the amount of time he has.
It's not free. Yeah, and I've put years and years and years into these.
You should get at least
$8,000 to $10,000
a year for doing this.
Yeah.
By the way, somebody said I make $185,000 a year on this show. If I did, I'd certainly take more interest in it. Yeah, that's a good point. Renus Pinko brings up a good point. The reason why, Dane, you don't get any pizza is because the one time somebody sent you pizza, you fucking murdered it.
I know.
You don't know how to eat pizza.
I
You
don't.
fail pizza
I've
eating.
never had a good pizza.
Okay, though.
Everybody's starting to wonder, where's Mancuda tonight?
He's holding a boom microphone somewhere.
Oh, yeah. He's probably really good at that job because he's so tall. You know, you can get over top of everybody with that mic.
You've met him. Oh, you were at dinner with us. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's fun to hang out. I'm really looking forward to summer of 2022 so we can go to the NAMM show in Anaheim, and hopefully the big C word will pretty much be over with by then, but it's not going to. But
Clitoris?
Yeah.
Comic-Con?
Yeah.
Actually, they don't hold that in Anaheim, I don't think.
But
That's
going to
Continuing
the
Adventures?
Anaheim NAMM show was just so much fun. That was just a great weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be awesome to get back to normal. Because I was kicked out of a restaurant yesterday for not having a Vax card.
They Vax carded you?
They made me sit out in the cold. Yeah. Steve Barton.
They made you sit
Try
out in the
Tony's
cold?
Pizza in San Francisco. Yeah, they made me sit out in the cold. It was horrible. Thank you, Steve Barton, channel member. Thank you, Laz, channel member. Shows my new TV. It's super clear. Shall I send you a picture on WhatsApp? Yes. Also, Dane Ronk, Skip Paul, a t-shirt already. Happy holidays. Thank you, Music Therapy Laz.
Wow, that is so fucking funny that they made you sit out in the cold.
It was horrible. What else? I don't know. Smash that thumbs up, you guys. Show me your papers. Yeah, he wanted to see my papers. I'm like, I don't have any papers.
You whip out the rolling papers.
Yeah.
There you go. Here are my papers.
Oh man. So I took the girlfriend to a restaurant the other night. And I took them over to the Black Bear restaurant, I took her, and it's kind of a breakfast place. You been over there, Paul? The Black Bear restaurant?
No.
So we're having a breakfast plate, and I have a big pancake there, and it's covered with the white powdered sugar or whatever they put on top of the pancake. And for just goofing around, waiting for the food to come or whatever, I scooped some up and I put it out on the table, and I scooped it into like two little lines, and then I took the straw, and when the waitress came over, I pretended to snort something, right? Like we used to do back in the old days. Well, it triggered my waitress, and she's like, when she saw it, I'm like, I'm just goofing around. That's the stuff off the pancake. And then she came back a couple minutes later, and she goes, yeah, that was just, my boyfriend, he had a stroke and he's in prison now, and for doing too many drugs. And that just kind of threw me for a loop right there for a second. I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. And then she came over a couple minutes later, and she's like, and she took her mask down. And she's like, I really just love him, but he just couldn't stop doing that, and all this and that. And I'm like, well, I feel really bad that I like triggered you like that by, just pretending to have two little lines on my table. And so the waitress was kind of upset. So I gave her a nice big tip because it's Christmas, and I put all these bad thoughts back in her head. I felt bad for her. Poor thing. Yeah, it's tough. You got to watch what you do sometimes to people, right?
Sometimes.
And Black Salami is always saying that this show is terrible. Johnny Beane, I can tell, is really deeply hurt every time he reads that. And you know,
I'm just glad people
can
are here.
see
They can
it.
say whatever they want. I don't care.
I can tell though.
No, we love each and every one of you that tune in. We do. We really do.
Taylor 315 asks,
I gave her a $25 tip. Okay. The meal came to $24.09. And of course, I had to ask the girlfriend, is it okay if I give her a big tip? She goes, I don't care what you're doing. You're money. And that surprised me. So I gave her a $25 tip.
Yeah.
Taylor 315 asks, would I consider WASP to be one of the best metal bands of the 80s? I would say the first 4 WASP albums were great. I think everything after the Headless Children was spotty at best until Kill Fuck Die. I think if Chris Holmes is in WASP, they're great. If Chris Holmes is not in WASP, they're not as good. So I think that the combination of Blackie and Chris Holmes works very, very well. I don't think either of them is as good apart as they are together. Kind of like with so many other bands, it's a chemistry thing.
I listened to I'm Blind in Texas just on Saturday. And I didn't realize that it was like a 3-chord blues song for most of the song. Like it's a 3-chord song. Oh, look at that.
Symmetry sent this in for you.
Wow. I
That
can
looks pretty
almost
good.
taste it from here. Is that pineapple on there?
Are those pickles on there?
What's that yellow stuff?
That's what she said.
But no, I didn't realize that WASP was it sort of had a little 3-chord bluesy part in it.
It's a simple 12-bar blues song. That song is, it's dun, 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 for 4 measures, and then it drops back. It's just played fast, but it's the same blues progression as 16 other great blues songs. But again, good band. I think a lot like other bands that were very theatrical. I think you had to make a choice as to whether or not you wanted to watch the band or listen to the band. And I think that some of the songs were either suffered because they were more constructed for how they were going to present visually versus how they present audible. I think they were good. I think they could have been better. I think they should have been better. I think they had a bad record deal, and I think they were bad. There was not a whole lot of chemistry in that band. It was fun while it lasted. I don't think they were that great. Somebody else did ask about the Cocked and Loaded record from LA Guns. LA Guns is a good band. And Cocked and Loaded is a great record. Again, the first 3 LA Guns records are really, really good. And then they get very inconsistent. When they're good, they're very good. When they're bad, they're just okay. They haven't made a bad record. Well, they haven't made a bad record with Phil and Tracy in the band. But certainly their best records are the first 3 or 4. And the last couple of records have been very pleasantly, surprisingly good, but not as good as the first 4 records. Again, that was a period of time where those bands were great. They were great. And then the candle burns out, and it's very difficult to be consistent. Consistency doesn't happen with a lot of bands. If you look at a lot of bands out there, very few bands are consistent throughout their entire career, which is why bands like the Beatles and the Stones and Led Zeppelin, and even the Stones, they haven't made a good record in a while. But they go 2 or 3 albums and then put out a great album. So you forgive the 2 or 3 in the interim. Bands like LA Guns and bands like WASP just don't have the kind of quality output that bands like Aerosmith and AC/DC and the Stones and Zeppelin. And that's why those bands are the greatest of all time, because they've been able to achieve that level of proficiency over a long period of time.
Yes.
Like the Police. The Police were great throughout their career. The Police never made a bad album. Not every song on every album is great, but they never made a bad album. The Police made, 6 records, and they were all great.
They got better and better.
Yeah, I think they grew, and then they realized they couldn't grow any further, and walked away. Which, again, smart.
No,
smart.
No, there was nowhere else they could go. They were the top of the top.
Yep.
Well, when you're a band like the Police and you get that much sales and you get that much money in the bank, you can afford to do that. But LA Guns, those boys are living paycheck to paycheck, so you got to just keep, doing what you guys do. You gotta
I
get
think
that
if they
next
were,
paycheck.
I think when it's all said and done, everybody has a ceiling. And when you reach it, it's smart to know, that's why bands like the Beatles and bands like Zeppelin and Van Halen and the Rolling Stones held songs back. That's why those bands, you hear stuff that was done in this Get Back documentary from the Beatles that came out on Abbey Road and not on Let It Be, because and you hear things that were originally written for the fourth album from Led Zeppelin, the untitled fourth album, or Houses of the Holy, that didn't come out until Physical Graffiti. Because sometimes you can sit back and say, look, we've got 15 songs, but we can only put 9 on the album. Let's save the other 6 here. And when we find ourselves in a creative rut, go back and grab it and pull it out when we were going through this creative hot period. And with bands like the Police, there were no down periods. Zeppelin, the worst Zeppelin album, according to most people, is Presence. Then you go back and you listen to some of those songs on Presence, like Hot's On for Nowhere, or that's a stolen blues song that they reinterpreted. But things like, For Your Life is a fantastic song. Carousel Alhambra Achilles' Last Stand is Zeppelin doing prog rock. I was
going to ask you, what do you think Led Zeppelin's lowest point in their career was? What was their lowest point as far as what album?
I am not a huge fan of In Through the Outdoor. I think that it was clear the band.
That's the only one I bought.
Yeah,
but that's because it's got the keyboard hits on it.
All
it's got
of
the
my
keyboard
love.
hits on it.
And the vinyl, the insert vinyl was like watercolors. It's like you got water on it and it changed. Kind of like these lights.
In Through the Outdoor, I don't know. I mean, In Through the Outdoor is a great record. It's very difficult. Yeah, the lowest period for Wayno brings it up was Bonham dying, because I think, knowing what we know about Robert Plant's proclivity for taking chances musically, and John Paul Jones' musical acumen, when you think about it, John Paul Jones took over the musical direction of that band right around Presence, because Jimmy Page was wired out of his tits on heroin. He was strung out. John Bonham was strung out. So John Paul Jones and Robert Plant started to take over the direction of the band. They were reinventing the band with a little bit more keyboards, a little bit more world music. You hear things like Fool in the Rain. You hear the samba part and the world music and some of that stuff that wasn't present in the first 5 Zeppelin albums.
Hot Dog. What album was that on? Hot Dog. Remember that song?
Yeah, Hot Dog's on Houses of the Holy. Am I correct? No, it's on Physical Graffiti. Point being, Steve Barton, you're right. They did have a low point to a point. Everything live wise, everything after 1975, the 1975 tour, they were spotty. From 1968 through 1975, they were untouchable. I mean, you listen to some of those early tapes from 71, 73, all that How the West Was Won stuff. But then once they got from 1975, after the Earl's Court shows, and they started to get into the drugs, 1975, Robert Plant's son dies. Jimmy Page is starting to really get into heroin. Robert Plant has the car accident. The band separates for a while. They start to hate each other. Robert and Jimmy start going at each other because Robert's a perfectionist and Jimmy was strung out and he was a perfectionist. And just that kind of band dynamics. So from 76 through 79, there was this period of time where they really didn't like each other. And if you listen to some of the lyrics on the Presence record, you'll hear Robert Plant is really ripping them a new ass in the lyrics, but you can't tell because they're buried in the mix. But there's a lot of anger and vitriol that's coming out in some of those Zeppelin records.
This question only works for bands that are now currently broken up, because you can't ask, what's the lowest point in like Dawkins' career? Or,
sure, you can. It's happening right now.
Together, or bands that are
it's
still
happening
together.
Right now.
You can't really ask them now. Yeah, it's right now. So you have to ask that question with bands that are still
the lowest point in a band's career is the point right before they break up.
Usually,
that's what happened with the Beatles, wouldn't you say? The Let It Be session.
I haven't seen the end of it. Don't spoil it.
Wait,
well, don't you think
the Beatles break up? You asshole. No, Physical Graffiti wasn't a big comeback album. Big Back Clock. No, the comeback record was supposed to be Presence. They took a lot of time off between Physical Graffiti and Presence. And then Presence, they recorded, they were in disarray. That was when Robert Plant had his car accident, and after Carrick Plant had died of his stomach ailment. And no, Presence was the alleged comeback record, and it really didn't do well overall. That's considered the low point in the Zeppelin career by most people, was Presence. And then In Through the Outdoor comes out. And the problem with that is while they were recording the In Through the Outdoor sessions, it's a great legendary story. Robert Plant, who is known for being a fan of other styles of music outside of just the simple blues stuff that they started out playing in the first couple of Zeppelin albums, they're in the same studio that Generation X, which was Billy Idol's band, were recording in. I think it was Nassau. I could be wrong.
Jamil, what was it?
And they're recording in the same studio. So Robert Plant crosses paths with Billy Idol in the hallway. And Robert Plant says to Billy, man, I really like the stuff you guys are doing. I like punk rock. I'm really into that new thing. Billy Idol clams on Robert Plant. Just fuck you, and spits at Robert Plant.
Wow.
Famous story back then. But that was the thing, was when Zeppelin played Nebworth, it was an okay comeback show for them. They sounded okay, but if you look at Jimmy, he's completely strung out. He's emaciated. He looks like shit. He's pale. He looks like he's going to fall apart. Bonham is all fat and bloated with the big beard and looking almost like Jim Morrison before he died. They were not healthy. Robert was the only guy on that stage that was bringing it 100%. John Paul Jones he was flawless. The guy never made a mistake throughout the period of Zeppelin's career. He was like Michael Anthony and Van Halen, as reliable as you could ask for, and just kept his fucking mouth shut and did his job as good as it can be done.
And makes sausages.
Yeah. And he was, that band was going through so much weird shit. When they came back in Nebworth, everybody looked at them and they were like, we're into the Clash now. We're into the Sex Pistols now. We're into, Motorhead and Iron Maiden, the hard rock of the time. People forget Iron Maiden started in the late 70s. Judas Priest started in the late 60s and started to get really going in the late 70s. That style of music, the Riots and the Motorheads and the Iron Maidens, from a hard rock standpoint, and Van Halen were supplanting.
Yes.
I
didn't even bring it up.
We're supplanting the dinosaur rock that Led Zeppelin were accused of being, unfortunately, because they played well at Nebworth, but they weren't great. And then Bonham dies, and next thing you know, they were done. But I think Led Zeppelin, they did reunite after Live Aid. People don't know this, but Led Zeppelin were actually going to reunite and continue on as a band with Tony Thompson from Chic and Power Station on drums. He gets in a car accident and lists his emergency contact as Robert Plant when they were doing rehearsals. Robert Plant took it as a bad sign, bad karma, and walked away from the reunion. But they were going to reunite with Tony Thompson on drums, which I think would have been awesome because Tony Thompson had exactly the same swing that Bonham had.
And that Power Station album.
And by the way, Power Station records are great.
And did you guys hear about that new restaurant called Karma? There's no menu, but you get what you deserve. No, Tony Thompson, that Power Station album, dude. But there's two of them, but that first one, mwah.
Who would you guys? Because Bonham is a very hard-hitting drummer.
Steve Barton.
Who would you guys? Who would you claim to be like the hardest hitting drummer out there?
Today?
Who's the top
of all time
hard-hitting guys?
Today, Tony, I would say Tommy Aldridge hits like a motherfucker. Tommy Lee thumps. Shannon Larkin is a great drummer.
Are you asking favorites?
Morgan Rose from Seven Dust is fantastic. Big name drummers. There aren't a lot of big name drummers out there right now. I mean, big name guys. Tommy Lee would be the biggest guy.
They're all drum machines and loops.
Yes, exactly.
Alesis, man.
Yeah. I have an Alesis SR16, and I've got a what is this thing? It's a Boss.
I've got the 16 too.
DR880 here. Those are Those
This
are the
thing-
hardest hitting drummers I can think of.
Dudes, man, this thing, man. Dude, look at this, man. Just
The
listen to
sound
that.
machine.
Listen to that tone.
Another one.
Oh crap! Hang on. Listen to that, man.
So hashtag
Amazing.
me in the comments. Hashtag
No,
me.
I'm
and
not
Johnny's going
giving
to
it.
give away
can't.
his sound machine.
I can't get
Oh
this
no,
thing.
yeah. Wayno brings up a good guy, Chad Smith from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. He hits like a motherfucker.
Yeah, he's a hard hitter.
Yeah, Chad can hit.
And chicken
Have
foot.
you ever seen anybody live just put their stick through their snare head and
Yes,
just like
yes. Wayno has put his stick through a snare head. I mean, that's
drummers that I've in my band that we've played
Yeah.
with have done that.
Yeah, that's not a.
I had one drummer in the band when I was living with Desmond Child. One show we did, he went down and he accidentally hit his hand.
Mhm.
And
Rim
the end
shot.
of the show, we had to take him to the hospital because he fractured a finger or something.
Portnoy, I disagree about Portnoy. I know Portnoy gets a lot of run. I think Portnoy is the Yngwie Malmsteen of drums. I think Portnoy is super talented, but I think he's like Yngwie Malmsteen and Miles Kennedy. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Kevin
What about the
Figueroa.
Appice brothers?
I think I like Vinny more than Carmine. I think Vinny's a harder hitter. I think Carmine's a better drummer.
Carmine, I've noticed that this isn't a drumstick, but he holds his sticks like really high. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
He holds his drumstick really high up the stick.
Danny Carey is a great drummer. There's a guy named Gavin Harrison who plays in Porcupine Tree, who is a phenomenal drummer. Travis Barker hits hard. Yeah, Drew SGS 60. Travis Barker hits hard too. He's one of those guys. I think Travis is one of those guys like John Mayer who could be bigger, but he plays in he's rich, and good for him. But Travis is a hell of a drummer. Danny Carey's a great drummer, but again, Danny Carey's a lot like Neil Peart. He's a lot more finesse than he is power. I don't like Portnoy as a drummer, not because, and I don't like Portnoy really much as a guy. He's sort of, and I've met him a couple times. He seems nice enough, but he just has an attitude about him that is a little sometimes off-putting. And I think that lot, like we were talking about with Ted Nugent earlier, there's a little bit of you just get a preconceived notion about the guy that is off-putting that I think takes away from his ability or your perception of his ability. I think Portnoy has that sort of thing about him, whereas Morgan Rose from Seven Dust couldn't be a nicer guy. And I think that, we miss, Lars Ulrich hits hard, but he's not good.
It's
on the other
weird.
hand, Gene Hoglan is
so
a guy that hits like a
completely different.
motherfucker.
I think it's weird how drummers are so completely different than guitar players, and how
Well,
these
it's
two
a different
completely
instrument.
different people have to come together.
I think if you can lock in with a
wired the
drummer, I mean, obviously that's the backbeat of the band. And I think that we've talked about this with Eddie and Alex. And I used to do it. I mean, that's one of the things that we joke about this. Wayno and I joke about it, but I locked in with the drums when writing lyrics and arranging the music in our band. I locked in with the drums, so I knew where we were in the song, not what the guitar players or the bass player were doing.
Mm-hmm.
I heard where we were in the song through the drums. So if something went wrong, and Wayno knows this, I would turn around and just look at him, and he'd look at me, and we just smile and laugh about it. The guitar players never heard it. The drummer, the bass player never heard it. They were in their own world. And with a guitar, if you're off by a half measure, it's okay. You just let that chord ring out a little bit, and then catch up with the beat. But if the drummer is off, if his swing is off, immediately I heard it, and we would just, I'd have the microphone and I'd hear the bad beat, and I just go, and he'd just go, sorry.
What's your Ricky Rocket thoughts? Ricky Rocket thoughts, since we're talking drummers.
Yeah.
Well, right there.
Yeah. Nico McBrain is a great drummer, Mark Dillon. Yeah, Nico doesn't get a whole lot of, or Nico doesn't get a whole lot of run. Nico's an interesting cat because Iron Maiden straddles the line between prog rock and metal a lot. Nico can play. He can play like Bill Bruford or like Gene Krupa, or he can play like John Bonham when he wants to. I think Nico is one of those underrated guitar players. It's not easy to play Iron Maiden music. It really, and you're talking about that syncopated rhythm, and he's locked in with Steve Harris. And make no mistake about it, that band is Steve Harris's band. And if shit goes wrong, Harry will let you know it. He will.
What about old school Neil Peart in Iron Maiden? Would it have worked?
No. Neil is. I mean, he could have, I guess, but Neil is. Well, I mean, shit, man. I mean, if you think about Farewell to Kings and Caress of Steel, those are almost Iron Maiden records anyway. Rush went through that period. Rush in the mid 70s really is the template for what Iron Maiden became.
I think it would have worked.
Maybe. But Neil Peart by the time Iron Maiden hit their stride, Neil Peart was already at a level that was beyond what Iron Maiden was playing. It was Neil Peart was playing in 1975 and 1976 and 1977 when Iron Maiden started playing in 82 and 83.
Let's say this. I love asking you questions, Paul. Let's say Tommy Lee and Iron Maiden, could he have made it happen?
Nope.
100%.
Two different styles.
Could not have made that happen.
Two different styles. Tommy's a decent drummer, and he comes from a marching band background, but it's not the same. Not the same. Scott Travis could have made it happen, though. Vista Light 1972. Scott Travis was a great drummer, was great in Racer X, and is fantastic in Priest. Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Vinny Colada is great, too, at Hit Metal Works. Fantastic drummer. Gil Moore from Triumph. Gil Moore is an underrated drummer. Triumph is an underrated band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Leo Safko, UFO is a name drop band. I think that's an interesting... UFO is a lot like Gary Moore and Thin Lizzy and a couple of other of those bands that don't really get Free, Humble Pie.
I love UFO.
UFO is a European template for bands like Riot, and I would say UFO. They're contemporaries, though. Remember, UFO was a little bit before Iron Maiden, but they were contemporaries. I would say that Rush begat Iron Maiden more so from a musical standpoint, whether or not the band wants to admit it. If I listen to stuff from, like the Necromancer and stuff that Rush was doing during the Caress of Steel and Farewell to Kings period and 2112 period, I hear a lot more of that in Iron Maiden than I do UFO.
What was Rush's lowest point in their putting albums out?
I would say probably post.
What was the record before Presto? Do you know what?
Grace Under Pressure.
Yeah,
Power Windows. I think they went. Rush went too far too fast. They were a prog rock band that progressed past where it's so weird. They started out very, very dinosaur-like with John Rutsey on drums. I mean, that first Rush album might as well have been a Black Sabbath record. Then Neil Peart comes in. They start doing all this proggy stuff, this concept stuff. It's a little bit prog metal and stuff. Then they find their groove in 1980, with Permanent Waves all the way through Signals. I think they were exactly where they needed to be. And then they started to go a little bit further with Grace Under Pressure and Power Windows. And I think at that point, when Power Windows, Big Money, and some of that stuff, I think that's where they lost a lot of people. And then they came back during Presto and Hold Your Fire.
So they probably had 2 or 3 albums right in the mid 80s that were kind of throwaways.
Late 80s. I don't know if they were throwaways, but I think that they lost the public interest. I think when they came back with Time Stands Still, with Amy Mann on vocals, I think that was a huge comeback record for them.
MTV probably loved it, but that was about it, I think.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think Power Windows and Grace Under Pressure, that was where they started to lose people.
And then moving.
Yeah, and I was not a fan of Counterparts either. Yeah, the rapping Geddy Lee was a little tough. Roll the Bones.
That sounds scary.
Yeah.
But Moving Pictures was then their highlight, their biggest commercial success and best.
Absolutely.
Album.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're talking about Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, the live Exit Stage Left and Signals that's a great 4-album run for a band. I know a lot of people because they changed after Caress of Steel, but Jay Hannon, chiming in on that. There's the difference between being a credible metal band or being able to sell records. Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures continue to sell very, very well, whereas Caress of Steel does not. And in the end, he who sells the most wins.
Yeah, and when they were out on the road with Kiss, I mean, the guys in Kiss were kind of like, "What are you guys doing?"
Well, you're talking about 1975, man.
On them.
You're talking about 1975.
Yeah.
Of course, 1970, because they were in the middle of their concept, prog metal period, whereas Kiss were barely able to play their instruments. Of course they, that's two sides of different coins. Nothing.
Oh, I thought I was deaf for a second.
I'm trying to think
podcast.
of other bands that are broken up now, but were huge back in the 70s, in the 80s. So we could.
Well, ELO was great in the 70s. ELO was a fantastic band, and of course Jeff Lynne is now putting together a new version of the band, and has been playing under Jeff Lynne's ELO. But ELO was pretty amazing. Yeah. He has Jeff Lynne's ELO. They've done a couple of shows over the past couple of years.
When I hear them, when I hear ELO, to me they just sound 70s.
Well, yeah, they're the middle. I mean, you talk about New World Record and Out of the Blue. Those are big. Those were huge records for their time. They were up there with the Boston records and the Kansas records and the Queen records of the 70s.
But were they? Because I mean, I really don't know much about them. I know about Jeff Lynne, and I know I mainly know him because of Wheelberries,
right?
Because of that.
Yeah, no, Jeff was in the Move. He was in a band called the Move,
and he did tons of producing, even the Beatles stuff.
Well, he's a huge Beatles.
Fly
disciple.
Like a Bird, or whatever that thing they
Free as a
put
Bird, yeah.
together. Free as a Bird.
Mm-hmm.
He did that.
But that's because he was so ingrained with George Harrison. He saved George Harrison's career.
They were buddies. I bet that George probably even gave him his home address and him at any time. Drop on by.
Yeah, anytime maybe. You want a Beatles shirt.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, they'd go to the bar together or go out to the pub once in a while.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, but no, when I think of ELO, I mean, I just think, or I just hear like 70s just music, just like, were they before disco or during disco?
Disco
pre
was,
and post. I mean,
70s, so 76.
Rock and Roll is King and Don't Bring Me Down. Those were late 70s.
Yeah, because
early
when
80s.
I think of Jeff Lynne, I just think of like disco rock kind of stuff.
No, I mean, a lot of their stuff. Mr. Blue Sky is a prog song.
Yeah.
Sweet Talking Woman. And there's a lot of, look, they were the band that made a string section work in rock.
Maybe it's just because I've never owned any of their records. I've only heard like the radio stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And that stuff to me sounds very 70s disco-ish.
They were very, very good.
Right, Lindy?
And I think they did a huge Wembley show. Wembley, right? They played Wembley.
Oh my gosh.
What was that? 5 years ago, 6 years ago? And it was just huge and just packed, and everybody loved that. They sounded great. They played Wembley.
Who did?
ELO. Jeff.
Oh.
Lynne. They played Wembley. They did a great job.
I'm gonna have to check out more of their stuff. I'm gonna have to throw on ELO and
ELO's a good band.
Early
I
Kiss.
think Out of the Blue, the double album, only
on my
probably had
Spotify.
it probably only had 2 songs on it. But what was the album with Telephone Line and everything on there?
New World
Evil
Record.
Woman.
New World Record is the one that
New
has
World
Telephone
Record.
Line on it.
That would be the biggie. That was their highlight album.
Out of the
Wouldn't you
Blue.
say?
Out of the Blue is their highlight album.
Really?
Yep. New World Record was the beginning of it, but sure.
I think they even had a greatest hits album out before either one of those albums. You know, that happened once in a while. A band would do a greatest hits album, and it was kind of premature. They'd do a greatest hits album, and then their next studio album would be even better than the greatest hits album.
Well, I mean, Aerosmith released a greatest hits album in 1978.
That was before all their hits.
That was before they had their greatest hits.
Yeah, Walk This Way, Last Child, you
That
know.
was before they had their greatest hits. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
Some bands accidentally did that. They threw that greatest hits album, and it was like, ooh, it's too early for that.
Yeah, I keep hearing that, Jay, when he says that. I keep
Yeah, I do too. I also love the fact that he can't say Wembley.
Wembley.
Hey, CC. Hey, man. Welcome, dude.
But yeah, I mean, bands like Iron Maiden have been able to sustain what they do for so long. In fact, I haven't finished watching it yet, but there's a series on Reels, RELLZ. If you have that on your cable or streaming service, they're doing a thing called Frontman, and they're focusing on lead singers for a bunch of different bands. They've done Steven Tyler, they've done David Lee Roth. I'm in the middle of the Bruce Dickinson one, and it's pretty cool, you know. And it's funny because when you see these, they did an Ozzy one, they did the Steven Tyler one. When you see these documentaries on frontmen, they all have a similar thread that runs through them that Edward Van Halen would refer to as lead singer disease. But there's a set of circumstances that draw certain personality types to be lead singers. And I saw, and as I see it, you know, I realize, as having been a lead vocalist in a band, you see those stories, you go, yep, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm sure when you see a biography as a guitar player, you go, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. The isolation, the thing that draws people into the music industry, and whatever instrument that you play, you were born to play that instrument. A combination of your own genetic makeup as well as your environmental upbringing pushes you to be your personality type. Guitar players tend to be introverted personally, and how they express their personality is through their hands and their guitar, and then that gives them the confidence to be an extrovert on stage.
So many weird guys come in the store, and they're so weird.
Well, it's a guitar store, Dan.
and they play guitar, and they're so good at it.
Yeah, that's the thing, is you see these people that you would never expect. Like, I have friends that I've known for 30 years in the music industry that are like record company guys, promotions guys, producers, things like that I never even considered would be great musicians. Because when I meet them and I've known them and the way we interact with each other, you know, you don't think, and then you see them sit down and pick up a guitar and I go, holy shit, I didn't know that you had that in you. A friend of mine named David Steele, which is probably not his real last name. David was the singer for Trash Broadway, which was Joe Stump, who is an Yngwie Malmsteen disciple, who's now in Alcatraz. David was the lead singer for Trash Broadway, and we used to play them all the time, the band that I was in with Wayno. And we opened for them a bunch of times, but they never saw the band. And we'd roadie for them on occasion, and they just thought we were just like five other guys that liked music and liked carrying their gear, lumping their gear, until they came and saw us. Like, one or two of them were there in the crowd when we played one night. Before them, they got there early and heard. And after we got off stage, Dave comes over and goes, "Man, you never told me you could sing." And I go, "What the fuck did you think I do?" Like, you make these assumptions about people. Like, if I met Johnny, I would never think Johnny is as good a guitar player as he is. Because you don't know. You make these assumptions about people based upon your experiences, your interaction with them, and you don't realize whether or not they have a skill set that you didn't even know they had. So watching this Reels documentary, things about Bruce Dickinson that lead him to be the amazing performer that he is right now, you can see a little bit of yourself in them. And you learn a little bit more about yourself when you watch some of these guys. It's pretty cool.
Mhm.
I'm seeing in the chat, Taylor 315 is asking you, Paul, about the first Ozzy albums.
What about him?
What's your thoughts on that? I mean, what was the high and low spots in the Ozzy career?
I think "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" is the best song Ozzy Osbourne's ever written, and he didn't even write it. Bob Daisley wrote it.
And that was the second album.
Yeah, I think "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll" is a fantastic song. It's the one that
Ozzy
still gives me a
definitely
chill when
started
I hear
off
it.
strong.
Well, Bob Daisley did a great job, and they assembled a great band, and that was very well marketed at the time. I'm with Jay Hannon. I am a much bigger fan of Jake E. Lee than I am of Randy Rhoads. I think Randy Rhoads is one of the more overrated guitar players in the history of the sport. I think he was great. I don't think he's as great as people think he is. Couldn't write a song. Horrible tone. Fantastic technique. Seems like a nice guy. Did bang Sharon Osbourne, though. Kind of a mark against him.
And he was
He
super
did?
young.
Oh, yeah.
But in his defense, he was super young and he was thrown into something as big as Ozzy and probably didn't have much rehearsal time, and probably a few more albums in, his would have gotten better and better and better.
That's how that
don't
kind
know.
of gig is. You don't get much time to you get literally thrown into that kind of situation.
I think the
Yeah.
guy that accorded himself the best in the Ozzy Osbourne situation was Brad Gillis. Brad Gillis was put in a really bad situation to go in there and play right after Randy died. He had to learn all the Black Sabbath records because they did that tour for the Speak of the Devil record. And I thought that Brad Gillis did a fantastic job of being in a really bad situation. I think the Jake E. Lee records don't get anywhere near the amount of credit that they deserve. I think it was because Ozzy himself was more of a train wreck, was going through a lot of problems. But I think some of the material on those records are very strong as well.
Yeah, I love the Brad Gillis version of Paranoid. He
Taylor
tried to make
315.
it his own a little.
I want to ask Taylor 315 a question. You just said I completely disagree. I thought he wrote great songs. What great songs did Randy Rhoads write? And I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm asking you what songs you think Randy Rhoads was great. Because he didn't write those two records. He wrote some guitar parts on those records, but the songs were written by Bob Daisley.
Yeah,
Who's the bass player.
there's a difference between the songwriter and the guitar parts.
Yeah.
Writing
the guitar parts are good, but the songs are Bob Daisley songs.
right. Yeah. A lot of the guitar parts you guys hear and unless it's like the hook of the song. It's very, very tricky. Man, I'm looking for my Brad Gillis pictures if I can.
I'm not in the Bruce frontman episode, Leo. I was saying you see some of yourself in these stories. I'm not in that thing. I will shout out though our friend Greg Renoff, who is all over the David Lee Roth frontman episode and does a great job of telling the story. I think Killer of Giants is a great song, All Day, All Night. I also think You're No Different is a very good Ozzy song with Jake E. Lee on it. Again, Taylor 315, he didn't write those songs. No, the music, he didn't write the music either, Taylor 315. Bob Daisley wrote those songs. That's the point I'm trying to make to you, is Bob Daisley, a lot like there you go. There's Greggy.
Me and Greg ran off. There you go.
A lot like
let me ask you another comparison for Paul.
Oh no,
Okay,
I have interviewed Leo. I have interviewed Bruce Dickinson. He's a great interview. Go ahead.
Let's say the lead guitar in the song Crazy Train compared to the lead guitar work in Bark at the Moon. What you got? Who's better? What's better?
I think they're almost the same solo. They're very, very similar. I think I like Jake E. Lee as a guitar player better than I did Randy Rhoads. I still do. Let's look at the totality of their resume. All right, you got the two Quiet Riot records that Randy Rhoads did before Ozzy, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're shit. They're
Mhm.
very bad. They're not good. They're so bad that CBS Records still hasn't released them in the United States. You would think that with the legend of Randy Rhoads being what it is, they would have cashed in on that, and they
Mhm.
haven't done so. And the reason why is because Randy thought they were garbage, and Randy's family and his estate thought they were garbage, and so they've only seen limited release as part of a compilation called the Randy Rhoads Years, the Quiet Riot put out. So those were not good records.
Mhm.
He made 2 good records with Ozzy. Didn't write those songs, played some good guitar parts on those songs, but didn't really write them. All right. Bob Daisley wrote those records. Jakey Lee comes into the band. He also wrote with Bob Daisley, but he also had more of a hand in writing those songs and played very, very well. And then he only made 2 records with Ozzy too. So now we're talking about 2 records with Jakey Lee, 2 records with Randy Rhoads. The 2 records with Randy Rhoads arguably have better songs from start to finish than the 2 records with Jakey Lee. But then Jake would go on and put out Badlands records. And those 3 Badlands records are fucking outstanding. All right. The Badlands records, the songs on those records are outstanding. And then he's put out the 2 Red Dragon Cartel records. Now, the first Red Dragon Cartel record, the songs would be good, but the lead vocalist is awful. I mean, that was just a sort of a misstep. The second Red Dragon Cartel record, much better, much closer back toward what the Badlands. I think Jake did a deliberate move away from what he did in Badlands to try and say, hey, I'm not the guy in Badlands anymore. But Badlands with Jake and Ray Gillen, who's the most amazing vocalist that most people in the world don't know, and Greg Chason and Eric Singer, that was a fantastic band. Should have been huge, came too late.
Go back
And
to
so-
Ozzy with Zach Wild. Then what Zach do?
I think the first 2 Zach records, I think No Rest for the Wicked and No More Tears are obviously I think No Rest for the Wicked is the most underrated Ozzy record. I would say that No Rest for the Wicked is a better album start to finish than either of the first 2 Ozzy records.
But then No More Tears was considered a comeback record, wasn't it?
Yeah, because No Rest for the Wicked slipped under a lot of people's radar. That came out in 1988 when Aerosmith was in their prime, when the Whitesnake record was massive, when Guns N' Roses were huge, when LA Guns were huge, when Rat was huge, and Ozzy was just sort of Bon Jovi, and Ozzy was viewed in 1988 a lot like Led Zeppelin were viewed in 1979 as sort of past history, sort of moved on.
I kind of like Shot in the Dark. I think Shot in the Dark is a great Ozzy tune. Love hearing that when that comes on. And then I'm pretty sure Bark at the Moon is probably my favorite Ozzy tune of all time.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Because of the guitar work, man. That ending guitar solo. So good. Good shit.
Yeah, and I think there's a good point. Zach's first 2 records with Ozzy, he hadn't quite overdone it on the pinch harmonics. Yeah, the pinch harmonics thing became and I, by the way, I love Zach. Zach is one of my radio friends. Every time we see each other, we hang out, and he gets me in a lot of trouble. He's the only I have an arrest record because of Zach Wild.
That's cool.
It's not cool. It wasn't cool spending a night in jail after being out drinking with Zach Wild.
I'd go to prison with my favorite rock star.
But No More Tears. Remember half that No More Tears record. A good amount of that No More Tears record was written by Lemmy. Lemmy wrote "Mama, I'm Coming Home."
Wow.
Lemmy Kilmister wrote that song. In fact, I bet that is the money that Lemmy's estate enjoys right now. I bet that song brought in more royalties than the entire Motorhead catalog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's such a great song.
Do you like the breakdown in the middle of the song though, where it goes to the organ part and it's just
I think it's
and all that. And it grows. Comes in.
I think it's Ozzy's ode to the Beatles. You remember Ozzy was a big Beatles fan.
He did. He wanted to be
and I think that was him doing his his ode to the Beatles, doing an epic song that had that little moment to it.
Epic.
So.
He's trying to be epic.
Mm-hmm. And Ozzy's another great example of a guy who never wrote his own lyrics. His lyrics were all written by Geezer Butler or other people in the band.
Yeah, I have no idea what they're talking about.
It's an interesting question. Randy Price asked, what do you think the next couple of Ozzy records would have been like if they'd have picked George Lynch instead of Jakey Lee? That's an interesting concept because remember, at that period, 1983 through 87 was that period where George Lynch made the, Breaking the Chains, Tooth and Nail, and Under Lock and Key records with Dokken, which were all very good records. You ask yourself, would Ozzy have sounded better singing stuff like Unchain the Night or Heaven Sent or, It's Not Love? I mean, if those songs turned out to be Ozzy Osbourne songs, that's an interesting consideration. I think George Lynch would have worked.
Been pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that. What's up, Kevin? I think that
would have worked.
Kevin,
I think that George Lynch in Ozzy's band would have been an interesting musical collaboration, but I don't think they would have gotten along. George is a very headstrong guy, and I don't think that he takes a back seat. That's part of the reason why it doesn't really work out with Dokken. George needs to be the top dog in his band, and rightly so with the musical talent that he has.
Man.
He's difficult to work with, and I don't know that he and Sharon would have connected very well. Yeah.
What if they would have just kept Brad Gellison? What about Brad? What if they would have just left him alone? Let Brad, you're in the band. We did the greatest hits or whatever, that live thing, which it was all old Black Sabbath stuff. What if they would have just left him in there?
I don't know. Brad basically had the opportunity, I think, to stay with Ozzy and decided that he wanted to stay with Night Ranger. And Night Ranger is a good band too. I mean, their first 3 or 4 Night Ranger records were good as well. Kevin Smith, Ozzy's not done. The last Ozzy record was surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. And I'm not even talking about the Post Malone song. I think the last Ozzy record, but again, perception being reality, I don't know that much, and they call it active rock, but new rock radio stations are not interested in playing Ozzy Osbourne music. And classic rock radio stations don't play new music from any sort of classic band. So from that standpoint, yeah, Ozzy's not going to get a whole lot of radio airplay, but he's putting out some pretty quality music. The last couple of Ozzy records, well, Scream was a piece of shit. But Black Rain was great. And this last record was really, really good.
Mm-hmm. But speaking of radio play, what's it like these days with the internet and streaming? And do you get like requests like like in the old day of radio?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, there's still new rock radio stations. Unfortunately, there isn't a lot of great new rock. So a lot of the quote unquote new rock radio stations, I can tell you the one we have here in town, we own all the rock stations. The company that I work for owns all the rock stations in town. And we've got a new rock station. We've got an alternative station. We've got a classic rock station, and the classic rock and the new rock station are the top 2 dogs in the market because Phoenix is a rock town. But when I go into the men's room of our corporate radio station, we have a little dial on the wall that has all the radio stations available for the in-house audio. I walk in and I hear Who Made Who, and it's not on my radio station. I realize where the bread is buttered. It's still about AC/DC. It's still about Ozzy. It's still about what's the biggest story in rock music this week. Metallica played 2 shows and streamed them on Amazon right there in San Francisco
for their
40th anniversary.
All my friends were there. They're all, yeah.
So it's one of those, it's a great, the reality is that new rock, the attention span for it is very low. And it's a shame because you've got bands like Dirty Honey and Rival Sons. And, I've talked about The Answer over the years. And even Greta Van Fleet, even though I don't dig on them that much, people love Greta Van Fleet. And none of those bands are getting anywhere near the kind of exposure that they deserve because there's just no appetite for them at that level. People still want to hear the biggest stories in music. The past 2 months have been last week, the Metallica 40th anniversary shows that were streamed on Amazon for free, and the Beatles documentary. Metallica is 40 years old. The Beatles are almost 70 years old. I mean, you know, you're talking, or at least 60, you're talking about, you know, generations. Even when we talked about some of the bands from the 90s, that's 30 years ago. There hasn't
Yeah, the
been
Foo Fighters or the Goo
there-
Goo
if-
Dolls.
the Foo Fighters are almost 30 years old. I mean, that's when
I'm
you
almost
think,
30 years old.
I mean, when you think about bands like that, you know, it's that's the tough part. Name a new band, a new rock band that anybody gives a shit about outside of Greta Van Fleet. Anybody in the chat?
Like rock.
New
Like
rock bands.
rock.
Band, just a straight up mainstream rock band that anybody cares about.
Nothing.
We'll wait.
In the chat. And hey, false flag. Channel member for
Hi, baby girl.
21 months.
Pretty
Alex
Reckless are pretty
Skolnick.
good. Steel Panther is nobody gives a shit about Steel Panther. Renus Pinkle, they're a joke band.
I like them.
Muse have been around for years. Muse isn't new.
I've had Muse in my iPod for 15 years. And hey, false flag. Yeah, I was there when Skolnick went to play with Ozzy. My buddy actually built put the pickups in his guitar that he took with him. Now I remember when Skolnick left and came back from that gig.
Just for the record, music has been around. The band Muse has been around since 1994.
Yeah,
they're not new.
No.
Hailstorm's not new. Hailstorm's been around 20 years. Maroon 5's been around 20 years. Mitch Malloy's Van Halen experience. I mean, people are talking about that all over the internet.
Why? And also, somebody sent something in from that. Where is that? Where did you send that?
Gave all the David Lee Roth people that missed Dave being in that band, it gave them a little tiny, you know.
There, somebody sent this in.
I'm in and
Somebody just sent that in.
Thank you, Michael Wahorlak. I know you. Airborne, nobody cares around. Airborne's been around almost 20 years. I mean, that's the point. The point is, no Mammoth, maybe, but Mammoth, nobody really cares about Mammoth overall. They're still playing clubs. And it's Eddie's kid. And if you can show me some SoundScan, how many records has Mammoth sold?
well, apparently, I watched a video on a channel called Rockfeed just yesterday, and they interviewed him. And apparently, you know, the song "Distance," went to #1, and then the "Won't Back Down" song also went to #1. I guess #1 on Modern Rock or whatever the chart is. I don't know actually what the chart is, but they were talking in both those songs went to #1. He thought "Distance" was cool. That went to #1, but that's basically because I'm Eddie's son. When "Won't Back Down" or "Don't Back Down" went to #1, that kind of turned on a little thing. Hey, you know, people actually like me. I think I can do this. And he's riding high right now. He's said he's looking forward to the next album. And he's not going to use his touring band for any of the recording on the next album. He's going to do it exactly like he did this first album and do all the instruments all by himself. He's going to do it all by himself again. And he says he's looking forward to that. So that's my latest on that, Mammoth.
All right, so
Yeah, and that's great.
He's excited about how the first record went.
Volbeat, Jesus, man. Volbeat's been around for almost 20 years too.
He said he had a lot of fun
Butcher
on the
Butcher
DNR
Baby's been
tour.
around for 10 years. There isn't a new band out there that's causing people to go excited.
Butcher Baby. They were all over MySpace.
Right. Yeah, no, Butcher
10
Baby's
years
been around
ago.
for 10 years. Yeah.
You couldn't go anywhere on that page without seeing them. I remember that.
I mean, Dirty Honey is arguably the best new rock band out there, and they're opening for Mammoth.
Yeah.
We'll see. It would be interesting. Oh boy, Black Veil Brides. That band came and went quick too. Jesus, how long have they been around? I would say at least 15 years. Black Veil Brides. Group formed in 2006, 15 years. That's my point. They've been around for 15 years, and most people don't even know who they are.
You know
Mitch
what?
Malloy's Great White. Yes, of course. Mitch Malloy's Great White is fantastic. Nerd Halen. Trapped.
You know what sucks is that 15 years ago was 15 years ago.
April Fools.
Yeah.
April Fools. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Ghost have been around for 15 years.
This show feels like it's been on for 15 years.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we're
it's
done.
time to wrap it up. What do you
No,
boys
we're done.
think?
He's putting his
Good
coat
talk.
on. Everybody's like, oh, getting ready to leave.
It
Yeah,
says
good
it's
talk.
70 degrees in here and I'm cold.
Yeah. Let
70.
me just came in and laid down. She's like, you know what? If you don't end this show, I will shit right here in the room. She's a good girl.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you
that's
so much.
So the point is, it's not that rock is dying, it's that there is no excitement out there for it. Dirty Honey is the best thing out there right now. Rival Sons have been around for well over 10 years now. It's tough. It's
Yeah, it's
real
not
tough.
that rock is dying. It's rock died 28 years ago.
Rock has been dead since I don't know.
Yeah, it's not dead. The good bands are still out there making good music. Foo Fighters are making great music, but they're, at some point, like Harley Davidson, at some point, the only people that are going to give a shit are going to be in their 50s and 60s. Because hip hop has become the new rock. Pop country has become the new rock. No, hip metal works. You say rock or radio rock. Rock. Things that cause people to go to concerts. People that we would turn on 2020 or 60 Minutes and see a feature about Nirvana or a feature about Guns N' Roses or a feature about Pearl Jam. You don't see that anymore. There are no rock stars.
That's true.
Metallica's not dead, Steve Barton, but Metallica are in their 60s.
I heard Sanitarium coming over here today.
It's difficult to stand, and don't get me wrong, I still love Metallica. I think they're great, but Metallica are like the Rolling Stones now. It just goes back to what we were saying about Led Zeppelin in 1979. At some point, young kids aren't getting into Metallica. It's me. I love new Metallica.
It
and
is
Johnny may love new Metallica, but he's at the bottom end of the rung and he's in his 40s.
It is dying down, but still every day you watch regular television and you see a Nissan ad and a girl's driving through the woods in it and you hear Welcome to the Jungle in the background. So it's still, it's not mainstream.
No, that's Welcome to the Jungle. Welcome to the Jungle and AC/DC are being used to sell luxury vehicles.
That's to get the attention of the 60-year-old dude sitting there on the couch sleeping.
Yeah,
he hears that song and he's like, "Wait a minute,
he can afford that." Yeah.
When you hear the Hellion Electric Eye from Judas Priest being used to sell minivans a couple of years ago, or the family are singing Crazy Train in the car on the way to their fucking holiday, whatever their holiday thing is. I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, it's not, I'm hoping something new comes out. I'm hoping there's a band that's a jaw-dropping, earth-shaking, groundbreaking, kick-ass rock and roll band comes out. I think Death by Rock and Roll by the Pretty Reckless is the best rock song I've heard in almost 10 years. You don't know it. Go ahead, when we're done with this show tonight, look up The Pretty Reckless, Death by Rock and Roll. Fucking outstanding song. Taylor Momsen, I don't want to admit that she's as talented as she is because she can be really annoying, but she's fucking super talented, super hot. She can sing, and goddamn, did they write a great song. Nobody cares.
No.
Nobody cares. And that's the sad part. Even though, by the way, the Pretty Reckless has been around for a decade.
You know, I have a 28-year-old daughter, and if she was sitting right here, she would argue that, yeah, you know, she'd say, "Hey, Metallica's good, and I know all these tunes, but My Chemical Romance blows their shit away." And then you'd say, "Yeah, but," and then she'd say, "Yeah, but, you know, Guns N' Roses, sure, I've heard all that, but, you know, Fall Out Boy's first 3 albums were so much better than anything that has been recorded since, you know, 1994." You know, so she's got all the same arguments.
Yeah, but My Chemical Romance have been around for 20 years.
Generation.
But My Chemical Romance has been around for 20 years.
I'm just saying that was her generation, and then the generation after that will have their favorites.
But that's where you're wrong.
That'll have their favorites.
That's where you're wrong, because every year when they do American Idol or they do The Voice or they do any of those singing competitions, it's Beatles week, Queen week, singing Mariah Carey and or Whitney Houston songs, singing even Carrie Underwood songs are now 20 years old. Those songs are the songs that they're singing on these shows. There's nothing new. There's nothing new that's crushing people. Taylor Swift is the biggest selling artist. You know, her and Adele are fucking killing it right now. But even they aren't household names.
You know what's
they're
cool
household
about
names,
Taylor?
but their music. What?
You know what's cool about Taylor Swift is she sold her publishing rights.
Mhm.
She's recording all 6 of her first albums over again so that she can have her own publishing rights on the new.
Yeah, she
on
didn't
her
sell
old
them. She
albums.
doesn't own
She's
them. She's
already done
in
the first
litigation.
2.
She's in litigation with her former record label who owned the publishing to her music.
Yeah, so she's going to re-record all 6 of those first albums.
Yeah.
And she's already had like a #1 hit song where she's recorded one of her old hit songs, and it's gone to #1, and it's a longer, better sounding version of the old song.
Thrash metal and fun riffs. The reason why the new music isn't going anywhere, and the reason why those new metal stations turned quote unquote classic rock, is because new metal doesn't sell. New rock doesn't sell. That's the point we're trying to make.
And part of the problem
You're
might
trying
be guys like us pushing back and saying, no, you guys need to listen to Queen and AC/DC and forget about, you know,
It's not about
Greta
that.
and all the new stuff that's coming out, because
It's not about that. It's
Queen was the best shit ever.
when a 17-year-old girl or an 18-year-old girl comes walking out of a mall and Creedence Clearwater Revival is on the radio on our stereo speakers, because we're set up in the parking lot doing a coat drive, and a 17-year-old girl turns around and goes, "Creedence, that's my fucking jam." Why is Creedence Clearwater Revival the jam for a 17-year-old girl? Because no punk band is out there doing something that Creedence does. There's when people are talking about how great the Beatles are great because the Beatles are fucking great. The closest thing we have to the Beatles now from a rock standpoint is Dave Grohl. That's a fucking fact, whether we want to admit it or not. Even Paul McCartney is like, Dave Grohl is exactly what I was when the Beatles broke up. When Paul McCartney, the greatest living rock star on the planet, gives the flag to you and you're the guy holding it, whether you like Dave Grohl or not, that's the truth. The undeniable are undeniable. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's so insane that those guys are that guys like that. And don't get me wrong, there are bands out there. Look, I love Porcupine Tree. They're gonna have a new album out next year. Nobody gives a shit about Porcupine Tree. Mm-hmm. You know, I love a bunch of bands. Seven Dust. I love Seven Dust. Nobody cares. Mm-hmm. I'm glad that they're still able to put out records. I'm glad that there are record labels and there are crowdfunding sites and stuff that are still supporting bands at a level that I can buy their music, which is why you should buy music and not fucking steal it. Because if you keep stealing music and you keep downloading it for free, these bands are going to go away because somebody has to pay for the recording process.
Do you think there is new music not coming out and being out in the mainstream has anything at all to do with a bunch of us old boomers pushing back. We're the old guys that's got the money. We're the old guys.
No, what did I
own
just say?
record companies.
What did I just say? I would love for a band to come out and shake it up. I would love for, by the way, I don't have old ears. A good song is a good song. There are bands that I may not fucking like that have written some good songs. What are you doing, Johnny? You all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right.
He's trying to go home. He's like,
I'm talking.
Oh. So that's the point. Anyway, we can call it a day, but that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Support music, go buy music. I wish there were a rock band out there that would light it up. I wish they would light it up. And again, I think that Pretty Reckless record is fantastic. Death by Rock and Roll, you should go pick it up. It's the best song I've heard in 10 years. Best rock song I've heard in 10 years. It's really fucking good.
Yes, that's true. So Dane's band is going to be the next big thing.
Nope.
We're trying to sound like the 80s. We have a slow ballad. I'm going to use my Rockman so that we sound like Def Leppard on it. We're not going to be the next band. We're trying to play gigs opening up for Foghat and stuff.
Who?
Right. It's a great example.
Foghat.
Yep.
Yeah, we
who's
opened
the
up
original
Foghat.
member in that?
Doc, and we're trying to do that stuff. We just want to open up for old dudes that we know.
Frog Hat.
By the way, Hellstorm, I have listened to Larkin Poe. They've been around for 15 years as well. Talented, super talented.
Yes. All right.
Adios, my friends.
We're closing. Thank you so much, channel members. And don't you guys can split. Oh, he just left.
He couldn't wait to get the hell out.
He
was like, all right, I gotta go home.
Yeah.
Remember, he closed at 6:00.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. All right, we'll see you guys Friday for Talking Van Halen. If you guys like Van Halen, this is the place you want to be.
Is it?
It is.
Because I want to be in Canada.
Wow.
Talking about Van Halen with a guy who knows 60% of what we know. That's the exchange rate.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I will see you guys later on over on Twitch. I'll be doing some GTA. Paul, I'm telling you, man, we're having a great time over there.
I don't have GTA for the computer.
It's awesome.
I don't have it for the computer, so I would have to get GTA for the computer and set up for that. But I would love to do it and come over there and shoot all of you people.
See, you can chase me around. It's awesome.
You would hate me. You would hate me more than you do now. I would just be like, I would go there just to fuck with your game the whole time. I would just appear out of nowhere, hit you with a baseball bat and run.
That's what people do.
Yeah,
and
it'd be fucking hilarious. And what we would do is record that and then run it back. We could have a secondary show of just you and I killing each other online.
Dude,
I bet people would watch it.
That's what we're planning. We're planning to do a show built within Grand Theft Auto, where it's us.
Well, if somebody wants to start a GoFundMe so that you can pay for my Grand Theft Auto for the computer, like you've been doing for Johnny, if you want to support it, I want a team sponsor. That's what I'm looking for. If you want to sponsor my virtual assassination of Johnny Beane regularly on Twitch, find a place. I don't have a Patreon or fucking Venmo or anything like that, but I would love nothing more. I'm sure people would love. Can you imagine if the Saturday Night Live crew showed up in the virtual reality world and could just kill each other? My God,
that's my dream.
It would be awful.
That's my dream, man.
It would be awful. You know, Caleb would just be standing on the corner looking at his cell phone, playing guitar licks and shit like that. Just and then out of nowhere, the captain would come in, shoot him in the head, and run away, and we wouldn't see the captain for another 3 weeks. Jay would come in, he'd buy drugs from the local drug dealer, you know. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be such a good time.
Eventually, we're building it up. We're building it.
Well, I have the real guns, so I think I know what to. Can I get a KSG in Grand Theft Auto? Is there a KSG available to me? Because I know
Probably.
how to use that.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of here, you guys. I'm gonna leave you guys with a short little Twitch clip.
Oh boy.
See you later, Paul.
See you, John.
Thank you so much.
Have fun. Thank you, everybody, for playing around.
See you guys later on Twitch. You can subscribe for free with Amazon Prime. Let's see how much faster this jet is than that plane. I can probably catch you like right away. I'll fly over you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I can catch right up. Oh shit! There's a clip.